football start with Ronaldo's star card. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 76, The Unpredictable Forces of War and the Unpredictable Shape of Water. Standing in front of the French window of the office, watching Zhang Jian and his secretary fleeing the Brescia base in a panic, Inzaghi couldn't help laughing and said, "The brat is so cruel. These two guys too, why did they have to provoke that beast? It's his due, it's his due. Some things can't be dealt with by simply tolerating or pretending to be crazy. When necessary, it's better to cut the Gordian knot." Inzaghi and Chui have highly consistent ideas. Xiao Chenhui's age is the best stage for his growth. His most important task now is to accumulate game experience and hone his skills in games and training, rather than stepping into the international competition arena too early for the sake of some people's face. It's a kind of thing that can only be done by those people in the Pig Association, who made them a group of brainless pigs. However, Xiao Chenhui confronted Zhang Jian. The two sides were equivalent to having a grudge. With Inzaghi's experience in the underworld, he guessed that Zhang Jian would definitely make trouble after returning and find ways to discredit Xiao Chenhui. Inzaghi must help Xiao Chenhui solve these troubles. Let him deal with every game without distraction. Turning back to the desk, Inzaghi, as the head coach of Brescia, sent a fax to the Longguo Pig Association. The fax clearly stated that due to the relationship between Serie B and the Italian Cup, Xiao Chenhui could not return to China to play at this stage. As for the deadline for him to return to China, let's talk about it in half a year. Isn't there a saying in Longguo? Tomorrow and tomorrow. There are so many tomorrows. Anyway, after half a year, when the season is over, Pelé will retire and transform into a football agent. He will help Xiao Chenhui clear obstacles. Who can do anything to Xiao Chenhui? The fax was just sent. Inzaghi heard a bang bang sound coming from outside the window. He walked to the window and took a look. Oh, that live animal is practicing again. It was not affected at all. It seems that it is not an easy thing to make him have psychological fluctuations. There is a reason why Xiao Chenhui is so calm. After a long talk with Chui, he further realized the darkness of the Pig Association. However, the Pig Association's black hand can only reach the players registered in Longguo. Xiao Chenhui skipped this step and registered directly in Italy. In other words, Xiao Chenhui is not a player under the jurisdiction of the Pig Association system. He can be completely free from the constraints and control of the Pig Association. No matter how long the Pig Association's hand is, it can't reach Italy. In this case, what else is there to worry about? Training. Seizing the time to improve your skills is the kingly way. On the training ground, Xiao Chenhui, who has maximumed out the strength training value, put the next special training goal on set pieces. In addition to defense and goalkeeping, which are not very related to the striker's attribute values, Xiao Chenhui's weakest shortcoming is set pieces. The system score is only 72. Basically, it is at the level of being able to cover 1.5 with 10 kicks. If you want to improve your ability comprehensively, of course you have to practice set pieces hard. And in the game, when the mobile battle can't open the situation, set pieces often become a weapon for siege. In the previous match against Juventus, Dybala took the free kick. Skriniar inserted from the back row and headed the ball. He almost broke through the goal guarded by Buffon. This tactic may become one of Brescia's regular weapons when playing against strong teams. However, this weapon is not yet mature. Dybala's set-piece power is mainly reflected in assists. Direct shots are somewhat reluctant. This is closely related to his retreat to an attacking midfielder. In order to make the arsenal richer, Xiao Chenhui must develop the ability to attack from set pieces. Complement Dybala's set-piece assists. Add another change to this tactic. Otherwise, a set-piece tactic that is too single is easy for the opponent to figure out. No matter how outstanding Skriniar's header skills are, the power will be greatly reduced. In addition, the second main task released by the system is to unlock the star card of God of War Batistuta. The powerful shots of God of War are not just long distance bursts. Set pieces are also one of his common scoring methods. Improve the ability of set pieces as soon as possible. Xiao Chenhui can also obtain the fusion degree of the star card more perfectly. Something similar to the intermediate fusion of Ronaldo's star card. He never wants to go through it again. After trying another 25-meter free kick, Xiao Chenhui turned his head and looked at the mobile phone holder not far away. He asked Pirlo's head portrait on the phone, "I always feel something is wrong. Where is the problem?" Pirlo's video is naturally required to practice set pieces. He is recognized as the master of free kicks. So Monica helped find a mobile phone holder and opened a video with Pirlo. Xiao Chenhui can get Pirlo's guidance at any time during training. You could also have difficulties? I thought you knew everything. Pirlo said, "It's fun to be naughty. How rare is it to see that live animal suffer a little." 3 thick black lines slid down Xiao Chenhui's forehead. Why do I feel that such an excellent self is being ridiculed? Can you still act like a master teaching his apprentice? Be careful or I will start my own business. Humph. In the video, Pirlo put away his joking expression. Seriously said, free kick is a technical job. It not only requires the control and accuracy of footwork, but more importantly, the feel of the ball. But the most important thing is confidence. Before taking a free kick, you must first hypnotize yourself and tell yourself that it is impossible for this free kick not to score. You must first learn to judge the situation on the field and then use different methods to complete the free kick. For example, when Beckham played for Milan, he was used to shooting with the inside of his foot. Seedorf is better at using the back of his foot to shoot hard. Everyone has a different way of kicking free kicks. But in the final analysis, scoring is the only goal. So Beckham sometimes kicks the ball in the opposite corner, and Seedorf occasionally shoots in an arc. Whether it is a falling leaf ball or a ground cut, you must make a judgment in advance based on the opponent's position, and then choose the most effective way. Kick, touch the ball, and shoot. After finding confidence and feeling, there will be thousands of times of practice. Pirlo's words opened a new door for Xiao Chenhui. At the other end of the door is a place called the Palace. The situation of the army is unpredictable, and the shape of the water is unpredictable. The magic of application lies in one's heart. In ancient times, the Dragon Kingdom copied military books to fight. Most of them ended up miserably. Only by extracting one's own experience from military books can one win every battle. This is what Pirlo said. Everyone has a different style of taking free kicks. So he did not pass on all his skills to Xiao Chenhui, because those skills are exclusive to Pirlo himself. They are not necessarily suitable for Xiao Chenhui. Finding a path for Xiao Chenhui based on Pirlo's skills is the most correct. It is better to teach a man to fish than to give him a fish. Xiao Chenhui stared at the video on his mobile phone and quickly digested Pirlo's words. Then he nodded solemnly. He came to the football again. Take a deep breath. Take 2 steps back. Run up. Kick. Touch the ball. Bang. The football flew off the ground. Draw a beautiful arc in the air, spinning and drilling into the upper right corner of the goal. Power, speed, and angle are all excellent. Wow. So manly. Monica ran over with joy. In front of Pirlo, she gave Xiao Chenhui a big sip on the side of his face. Pirlo, who couldn't open his eyes due to the spiciness, turned off the video. Damn. This young man is too unrestrained. Isn't it just a free kick? I don't know how many goals I've scored that are 10 times more beautiful than this. Why doesn't anyone come up and give me a sip? It's so unfair. Chapter 77. Double matches in 1 week. In just 1 week, under Pirlo's personal guidance, Xiao Chenhui's free kick skills have made great progress. The best proof is that the system's score for set pieces has been raised to 73. You should know that set pieces include free kicks, corner kicks, penalties, etc. Xiao Chenhui did not deliberately train other subjects. Just relying on free kick training, he raised his set piece score by 1 point. This shows how hard he has worked in the past week. Time has entered the warm March. Brescia once again ushered in the test of 2 games in a week. The 27th game of Serie B in the second round of the Italian Cup came one after another. Back-to-back games are also a new test for Brescia's young demons. In the future, they will face 3 fronts of the League, Cup, and European War. If you add their respective national teams, it will be 4 fronts. Adapting to the atmosphere of 2 games a week in advance will help him understand the distribution of psychology and physical energy. In the league, Brescia played against Capi. Capi is a small team among small teams. The strength is visibly low. Inzaghi even hid several main players. He only sent Xiao Chenhui, Tonali, Bisoli and other main players. With most of the substitutes, he played a 4-5-1 lineup. If it weren't for the bet between Xiao Chenhui and Licari, Inzaghi must guarantee Xiao Chenhui's number of goals. He might not even send Xiao Chenhui to the field. As for the younger Tonali and Bisoli, they are in the initial stage of growth. Playing more games will only benefit them, so they were not hidden by Inzaghi. The 4-5-1 lineup means that Xiao Chenhui became the only single striker. He is still fierce as the main striker. He used his speed to tear open the opponent's defense twice. The entire backcourt of the Capi team became his raging territory. The performance of scoring 1 goal each in the first and second half made Inzaghi very happy. Xiao Chenhui was replaced early in the 70th minute. Brescia easily won the game 2-0. Xiao Chenhui's personal goal tally has also climbed to 17 goals. He surpassed Manxu, who was ranked first, by 1 goal. He is the leader. Compared with the ease in the league, the cup competition is a bit more troublesome. The opponent Brescia faces in this round is Fiorentina, known as the Purple Lily, currently ranked 4th in the Serie A standings. Like strong teams such as Inter Milan and Juventus, Florence is equipped with world-class stars on every line. But the difference is that, in order to ensure the qualification for the European War next season, Florence must not only strive to maintain the top 4 positions in the league, but also go all out in the Italian Cup. Give it a double insurance for the qualification for the European War next season. Therefore, Florence will never let up in the cup competition like Inter Milan and Juventus. Instead, it will send out the entire main lineup, strive to eliminate Brescia. So far in the cup competition, Brescia has finally encountered a strong enemy that is strong and eager to win. After the 27th round of the league, Inzaghi and Xiao Chenhui went into the tactical analysis room and conspired together again. 2 days later, Naples City, Diego Maradona Stadium, welcomed the showdown between Brescia and Fiorentina. The first time he stepped onto this stadium, Xiao Chenhui's heart was inexplicably filled with fanatical thoughts. Just because of the name Maradona, the only Eagle King among the Pampas Eagles, one of the only 2 football kings in the world football, the legendary hero who led Argentina to win the 1986 World Cup Championship by his own efforts. As long as he wants to spread his wings and fly high, nothing can stop him from taking off. In Naples City, Maradona is the unique symbol of this city. One person, one city. As an Argentine, he can become the label of an Italian city. Maradona's greatness needs no elaboration. Therefore, the Naples team named their home stadium after Maradona. Diego Maradona Stadium has become a unique landscape in the Serie A arena. Standing in the center of the stadium, Xiao Chenhui closed his eyes and felt the breath of the lawn. It was just like Maradona's aura when he played for this city, tenacious and tough. This is the precious wealth left by a generation of football kings to this city. It is also the foundation of Naples' battle in Serie A. No one does not yearn to become a savior hero. Everyone has a heroic dream in their heart. Xiao Chenhui is no exception. If he can become the Maradona of Dragon Country in his future career, lead the Dragon Country team out of the trough, and stand on the top of the world, that will be something Xiao Chenhui is willing to work hard for. Come on, Florence. You will be another whetstone for me to reach the top of the world. The stronger you are, the sharper I will be. Face the wind. Looking at Xiao Chenhui, who closed his eyes and slowly opened his arms on the court, Duan Zuan in the Xiao Chenhui broadcast room said with emotion, I think every Dragon player who has the honor to step onto this field will have a special feeling. Maradona, with the attitude of a lone hero and the strength to stand out from the crowd, led the weak Naples to win the Serie A championship twice and stood at the top of Europe in the UEFA Cup. Dragon football lacks Maradona, and Dragon football is looking forward to Maradona. He did not say whether Maradona, who has been long awaited by Dragon fans, would appear. But at this moment, he exaggerated in great detail. The candidate for Dragon Maradona in his mind is about to come out. Duan Zuan's old partner Zhang Lu was more direct. Perhaps in the near future, perhaps in this game, we will be fortunate enough to witness the appearance of Dragon Maradona. A weak country has no diplomacy. The same applies to the football field. In the field of football, Dragon's influence in the international arena is minimal. Almost everyone can step on it. Every Dragon person hopes that the great motherland can have a hero like Maradona. Just like looking forward to another Yao Ming in the basketball world. The hot discussion on the internet was generated because of this. Alas, when will Dragon country football make a breakthrough? Don't worry, I think Brother Hui is good and has the potential. In fact, there were some good players in our past, but in the end, due to various reasons such as the system, 99% of them failed to make it. So, Brother Hui is registered in Italy and is not bound by the system. Maybe he really has the hope of becoming the Maradona of Dragon country. I hope so. Maradona is not that easy to come by. If Xiao Chenhui can play at the level of Sun Heung Minimum of Korea country, or Shinji Kagawa of Sakura country, I will be satisfied. Hey, have you heard? It is said that Brother Hui rejected the invitation of the Pig Association and did not agree to return to China to participate in the Asian Cup qualifiers. Humph. He started to act like a big shot just after he became famous. It's better not to have such a player. The hot discussion suddenly changed direction. Deviated from the original path, from the flat road to the country road. For such a topic, Dragon country fans have different opinions. Don't jump to conclusions. Do you know what's going on? Judging from the behavior of those people in the Pig Association, we may not know what's going on. That's right. Our fan club firmly believes in Brother Hui. The Pig Association must have made another stupid move. Haha, there are so many brainless fans. I can only say that, if Xiao Chenhui really took the initiative to refuse the call up, I will immediately turn against him. No matter what, being unwilling to return to the country to compete is unpatriotic. Such a person should be banned. Haha, stop arguing. Watch the game, it's about to start. That's right, let's talk about the future later. Let's watch the game first. Chapter 78 Brescia vs. Florence. Xiao Chenhui Sports Channel. Xiao Chenhui Sports Channel. Hello everyone, I'm your old friend Duan Zuan. The second round of the 2013-2014 Italian Cup is about to begin. The players of both teams are lining up to enter the stadium. Now, Coach Zhang will introduce the starting lineups of both teams. After the iconic opening remarks, Duan Zuan turned the floor to Zhang Lu. Hello everyone, I'm Zhang Lu. Welcome to watch this round of the Italian Cup. From the starting lineups of both teams, Fiorentina is still mainly using a 3-5-2 formation. Mario Gomez and Giuseppe Rossi will play together on the front line. Everyone should be familiar with these two forwards. Mario Gomez transferred from the Bundesliga giant Bayern Munich this season. He was troubled by injuries at the beginning of the season and did not play many games. He recently returned from injury. Coach Montella may have put Gomez in the starting lineup for this game to help him recover as soon as possible. In the previous 4 seasons with Bayern Munich, Gomez scored 75 Bundesliga goals, an average of 18.75 goals per season. Such efficiency is still terrifying, and I believe Coach Montella will not turn a blind eye to it. Another forward, Giuseppe Rossi, is known as the Golden Boy. He has played for strong teams such as Manchester United in the Premier League, Villarreal in La Liga, and Parma in Serie A. He can be said to be a battle-hardened veteran. Rossi has scored 11 Serie A goals this season and ranks at the top of the Serie A scorer list. If this forward duo can play to their full potential, I believe it will cause great trouble for Brescia's defense. In midfield, Fiorentina's 5 starting players are Pizarro, Joaquin, Cuadrado, Aquilini and Ambrosini. It is worth mentioning that veteran Ambrosini, he and Brescia head coach Inzaghi once played for AC Milan for 10 years. This season should be the veteran's last season. But in the past half of the game Ambrosini's performance was very stable, and he has become Fiorentina's most reliable midfield barrier. On the backline, Captain Paschal is in the middle, Gonzalo and young player Savic are on both sides. The last line of defense is guarded by goalkeeper Norberto Neto. He is also a young goalkeeper. He has risen rapidly in Fiorentina this season, and has grown into a main goalkeeper. It is said that many top teams such as Juventus and Valencia are interested in him, which shows that he is quite strong. After introducing Fiorentina's lineup, Zhang Lu began to introduce Brescia's starting players. Because of Xiao Chenhui, domestic fans are already quite familiar with Brescia's players, so Zhang Lu's introduction was very concise. He did not analyze and introduce one by one, like he did when introducing Fiorentina's lineup. However, Inzaghi's deployment of troops in this game made people feel a little confused. In addition to the conventional trident configuration of Xiao Chenhui, Berardi and Donnarumma on the front line. Dybala, who originally retreated to the midfield, also returned to the front line, but he did not play the familiar winger position. Instead, he stood behind Xiao Chenhui. He looked a bit like a shadow striker or a 9.5 player. Compared with the arrangement on the front line, the midfield formation is even more bizarre. There are only Tonali and Biselli. What kind of formation is this? Zhang Lu paused for a full 3 seconds in the commentary. Only then did he come back to his senses and continue. There are 4 people standing on Brescia's back line. Skriniar and Koulibaly are standard central defenders. Kimmich and Gastaldello were the full backs on both sides. Is this a 4-2-4 formation? It was unclear what Inzaghi was up to. Zhang Lu was a little afraid to explain it. He simply skipped the formation explanation and took the audience directly into the game. When the players from both sides took photos and tossed coins to choose sides, Fiorentina's head coach Montella also found the strangeness of Brescia's starting lineup. He turned his head and looked at Inzaghi in confusion. Inzaghi happened to be looking at Montella. The two people's eyes created a series of invisible sparks in the air. Montella used to play for the Serie A Roma team for many years. He is one of AC Milan's strong opponents in the Serie A from a personal perspective. Montella, nicknamed Little Airplane, has superb shooting skills and erratic positioning. He is also a strong competitor for Inzaghi in the Serie A Golden Boot. At the national team level, Inzaghi's era was not short of top shooters. The competition on the front line was extremely fierce. So no matter from which angle, the relationship between the two is not very friendly. Now they are facing each other again as head coaches. Of course, there must be a winner. Beep. With a whistle, the game officially began. It was Fiorentina who kicked off. Mario Gomez pushed the ball back and handed it to Pizarro, the core organizer of the midfield. Then he and Giuseppe Rossi turned around and ran towards Brescia's half. But just as they started, they saw 3 in front and 4 in the back, like a whirlwind. The person in the front was naturally Brescia's trump card Xiao Chenhui. Behind him, Berardi and Donnarumma followed behind him. Dybala was in the same straight line as Xiao Chenhui. It was like 2 points connected by a line segment. The 4 people rushed through the center circle unreasonably and rushed straight to Pizarro, who had the ball. Pizarro played for Roma at his peak and was a teammate of head coach Montella. After his peak period, he transferred to Fiorentina in August 2012. Pizarro, who was used to big scenes, saw 4 people from Brescia rushing towards him from 3 directions. He was not panicked at all. He calmly turned with the ball and passed the ball to the side. The person who received the ball was the Spanish veteran Joaquin. In terms of experience, Joaquin is even better than Pizarro. He looked up and observed the situation before receiving the ball. Seeing that Xiao Chenhui and the other 4 changed direction instantly, abandoning Pizarro and running towards him, Joaquin quickly calculated the distance. Then he dribbled forward 3 or 4 meters. The overall formation of Fiorentina changed. When Donnarumma on the left was about to rush in front of him, Joaquin easily flicked and dribbled with his right foot. He used the change in rhythm to shake off Donnarumma's grab. Then he started the speed and wiped Donnarumma's side. He advanced along the side with the ball at high speed. Joaquin's action caused Xiao Chenhui and Dybala to change their running direction. They made a sharp turn of 90 degrees from their forward sprinting posture. They ran in front of and behind Joaquin. In addition, Donnarumma, who was shaken off by Joaquin, formed a triangle between the 3 of them. Part of Joaquin's passing route was cut off. At the same time, Berardi, who was originally in the right winger position, quickly ran to the middle. He temporarily replaced Xiao Chenhui and came to the center position. Tonali and Biselli in the midfield formed a golden partnership. They kept a distance of 5 meters from each other. They moved to the left side of the midfield. They kept a close eye on Gomez and Rossi, who were about to receive the ball. Cooperating with Xiao Chenhui and others, they almost cut off the connection between Joaquin and all his teammates. Chapter 79, Brutal Formation. Oh my god. If I'm not mistaken, Brescia is using the 4-2-4 brutal formation. Duan Zuan, sitting in the live broadcast room, made a voice of great shock. Zhang Lu added with emotion, that's right. When the players from both sides entered the field, I guessed this possibility. I never thought that Inzaghi would really dare to use this brutal formation. The Brescia boys really dared to play like this. The 4-2-4 formation has disappeared from mainstream games for many years. But in the 1960s, the Samba army, led by the king of football Pelé, swept the world with this formation. At that time, the Samba team was invincible. More famous than Barcelona's tiki-taka. No one can escape unscathed from the Samba army's 4-2-4. Hence the name, the brutal formation. But, is the brutal formation of ancient times really applicable to today's games? That's why Zhang Lu made such a sign just now. Standing on the sidelines, Fiorentina coach Montella turned his head again with a surprised look at his old enemy Inzaghi. Duan Zuan and Zhang Lu could see it. Montella could see it too. The same, just like the two Dragon Country commentators. Montella was extremely shocked. He had no idea what Inzaghi wanted to do. Playing retro? Brescia doesn't have the king of football Pelé. The strength is far worse than the original Samba army. How dare Inzaghi? Glancing at the surprised Montella with the corner of his eye, the corners of Inzaghi's mouth gradually curved up a little. Yes, I don't have the king of football Pelé in my hand. But I have a live animal. The kind that bites whoever it sees. Let's just ride the donkey and watch the script, and wait and see. Joaquin, who was surrounded on the wing, stopped dribbling forward. Because not only Xiao Chenhui and a few others blocked his ball route, but also quickly approached him. Brescia's left back Gastaldello also rushed up. He ran straight to Joaquin's front with great momentum. He was ready to knock Joaquin to the ground if he disagreed with him. For a moment, Joaquin faced the rapid counter-attacks of 6 Brescia players at the same time. If Joaquin was 10 years younger and still in his prime, he might continue to force his way forward, eat up 1 or 2 Brescia players alive, shake off the passing route, and pass the ball safely. But now Joaquin is 33 years old and can no longer be as vigorous as he was when he was young. After thinking for a few seconds, Joaquin made a relatively conservative decision and fixed his eyes on David Pizarro, who came to meet him. David Pizarro ran actively and came to the left side of the midfield, more than 10 meters away from Joaquin. But Pizarro is not a star player known for his speed. After transferring from Roma at an advanced age, he is getting older and slower. Therefore, the connection between Joaquin and Pizarro is not very stable. It is very likely that after the ball is passed, it will be intercepted by Xiao Chenhui and others who are extremely fast. But does Joaquin have any other choice now? If he doesn't pass the ball, he will be surrounded. The pursuit and interception of the Brescia line is so determined that 6 people are besieging him alone. It is impossible for Joaquin to find another more reliable route to pass the ball. Joaquin gritted his teeth secretly and pushed with his arch. Hit the football hard. Let the football slide towards David Pizarro's running route. It should be said, Joaquin's pass this time is still very skillful. David Pizarro does not need any deceleration or acceleration. If he maintains the current speed and runs forward a few steps, his footsteps will be at the same pace as the football. He can receive the pass and organize the attack calmly without any extra adjustments. But unfortunately, Joaquin took into account David Pizarro's speed, but did not take into account Xiao Chenhui's fierceness. The blue and white figure swept across the lawn like a rocket. 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps. A few big steps rushed between Joaquin and David Pizarro. Xiao Chenhui stretched out his foot to stop the rolling football. David Pizarro ran for nothing. Joaquin and David Pizarro looked at Xiao Chenhui in amazement at the same time. It can't be true. Can this kid teleport or flash? Could it be the Dragon Country's unique shrinking the earth into an inch? Even if Joaquin's passing route is not so safe. But when he passed the ball, David Pizarro was at least 5 meters closer to the football than Xiao Chenhui. 5 meters. Even if David Pizarro was slower, he was running forward. The distance between him and the football was getting closer and closer. How could he be intercepted by Xiao Chenhui, who showed up halfway? Under the attention of the two people, Xiao Chenhui's chest rose and fell violently. He didn't know anything like shrinking the earth into an inch. Just now, when Joaquin looked at David Pizarro, Xiao Chenhui predicted that Joaquin would pass the ball to David Pizarro. He started the speed one step ahead and rushed forward at the fastest sprint speed. He intercepted the ball before David Pizarro caught it. In order to complete the steal, even a beast with an incredibly strong physical fitness had to breathe heavily. It can be seen that he was really risking his life. However, Xiao Chenhui's movements did not stop because of the heavy breathing. He kept the stealing posture without turning around. He stomped hard on the inside of the football with his heel. It was as if he had eyes behind his head. He passed the ball accurately to Tonali on the side and back. Behind Xiao Chenhui, that was Florence's offensive position. It was a pity that Mario Gomez and Giuseppe Rossi did not expect Xiao Chenhui to steal the ball like this and passed a heel pass. He watched the ball roll between the two and slide towards Tonali's feet. After completing the heel pass without turning around, Xiao Chenhui took a deep breath. Then he quickly turned around and ran to the front court. His movements were like Brescia's weather vane. It triggered a series of chain reactions. Berardi, Dybala, and Donnarumma immediately abandoned Joaquin on the wing. He kicked the grass hard and turned around in an instant. Like 3 arrows shot from a bow, they rushed to the front court with a whistle. They echoed with Xiao Chenhui. The directions of the forward advances were different. Xiao Chenhui went straight along the diagonal line and returned to the center position from the middle area near the wing. Correspondingly, right winger Berardi also drew a diagonal line on the court. He gave up the center position and ran back to the right side. Donnarumma on the left and Dybala in the middle continued to maintain the original route, rushing straight forward. In an instant, the 4 people ran out of 4 offensive routes. All roads lead to Rome. Chapter 80, large-scale transfer to seize the opening. After receiving the heel pass from Xiao Chenhui, Tonali controlled the ball. He did not stay there for even a second. Under the close protection of Basile, he resolutely rushed forward with the ball. Then, during the rush, he made a beautiful 2-on-1 wall-to-wall cooperation with Basile. He passed the Fiorentina midfielder Aquilini, who rushed over. Then, before Ambrosini could make up for the defense, he passed the ball to the right road. Kimmich arrived at the right time. He looked ordinary in figure, but he had amazing explosive power. He used his body to hold Cuadrado back and pushed him aside. Then he stepped forward on his toes. He squeezed past Cuadrado with the ball. The speed of running made Cuadrado eat a mouthful of dirt. You know, the 24-year-old Cuadrado plays as a winger. The speed of wingers is basically not slow. What's more, 24 years old is the age when wingers are best at running and rushing. But Cuadrado was eaten alive by Kimmich's body and speed. Cuadrado turned around in anger. He chased Kimmich's back like crazy. When he chased 5 or 6 meters away, he finally caught up with Kimmich. But he was mad to see Kimmich pass the ball diagonally. The ball was pushed back from the side to the middle. If it wasn't for the fact that the game had just started, Cuadrado still had enough reason. Maybe he would have tackled Kimmich from behind. A fullback attacked the winger. The script was reversed, right? Too much? Do you think you are Marcelo or Carlos? But no matter how angry Cuadrado was, he was destined to be the loser in this contest. In the middle of the midfield, Dybala, who deliberately slowed down, got the ball. He took the ball with his back to the goal and didn't even turn his head to observe. He didn't even intend to break through Ambrosini. He directly faced the ball and knocked it straight. The ball was handed to Tonali, who was inserted in the back row. Before he knew it, Tonali, who played as a defensive midfielder, had actually moved to the front midfielder position. Although it was Tonali who received the ball, he was not the only one in the back row. Basile followed Tonali closely, 2 meters away. He did his job as a gold medal hitter diligently. He used his body to block David Pizarro, who was chasing him, behind him. This created time and space for Tonali to organize and dispatch. At this moment, Tonali, who was defensive midfielder in front, and his personal bodyguard Basile both rushed across the half court. Brescia's already weird 4-2-4 formation turned into 4-0-6. No midfield. In the previous defense, they invested 6 players. Now the offense is also 6 arrows at the same time. This makes the Fire Rentina team, which mainly plays a 3-5-2 formation, quite uncomfortable. 3 central defenders plus Ambrosini, who was dragged in the backcourt. There are only 4 people in total. For defending 6, the difficulty is extremely high. Fiorentina coach Montella on the sideline suddenly understood. Inzaghi used such a strange formation. It turned out that he wanted to grab the start. When Fiorentina got the ball, Brescia spared no effort to put 6 players to defend. Formed a regional blockade against Joaquin, disrupted Joaquin's rhythm, and took the opportunity to seize the ball. Then used the most concise pass to avoid Fiorentina's heavily defended midfield. Divided the ball to the other side. It was equivalent to completing a large-scale transfer from the left to the right. After attracting the attention of Fiorentina's 5 midfielders to the right side, the ball was passed back to the already extremely empty midfield. Tonali, the defensive midfielder who inserted from the back row, organized the attack. Dybala in front of Tonali was actually a cover. He slowed down, stopped the ball, and passed the ball. A series of actions, mainly to attract firepower. I understand it. But Montella couldn't remind his players. The entire midfield almost lost its position. Is it still useful to remind? Montella can only hope that Tonali, who was born as a defensive midfielder, is not so accurate. Pray that he makes a mistake in the passing process later. It would be better to kick the ball away with one foot. The more outrageous, the better. Most of the defensive midfielders in Serie A are mainly responsible for defense. Focus on destruction and interception. Long kicks are common. However, there are not many defensive midfielders who can make a fatal pass. The delicate work of threatening passes is generally done by attacking midfielders, wingers or central midfielders. It is rare for a defensive midfielder to take on such a task. But obviously, the vast majority does not represent all. Tonali is obviously an exception. Although he is from Serie B and is not as famous as the defensive midfielders in Serie A, but don't forget that he and Xiao Chenhui are brothers from the same school. Both are disciples of the master Pirlo. Even in terms of the position on the field and the style of play, Tonali is more like Pirlo. Bang! Tonali's eyes observed the running positions of his teammates in the front court. Without any eye contact, his right foot kicked the football hard. The football flew into the air and flew high into the sky. The ball passed over the heads of all the midfielders of Florence in an arc and fell diagonally to the edge of the penalty area. At the moment when Tonali kicked the ball, Dybala's speed increased again and he passed Ambrosini directly. He rushed to the penalty area of Florence. Looking at his posture, it seemed that he was going to make a powerful shot outside the penalty area with all his strength. Dybala's action made Paschal, the middle of the 3 defenders of Florence, panic. He didn't have time to observe the landing point of the ball carefully and hurriedly flew up to block it. He threw his body into the air and stretched his body as much as possible to block Dybala's long shot. But after Paschal threw his body out, he found that the ball suddenly turned a small corner in the air. It did not fall in front of Dybala as he expected, but deviated more than 1 meter away. It fell a little to the left of the penalty area line. If Joaquin's pass just now showed his skill, then Tonali's arc ball was a bit elusive. The strong rotation is extremely deceptive. Even the experienced Fiorentina captain Paschal was fooled. Paschal hasn't had such embarrassing things as headers for a long time. Where the football landed, 2 figures jumped up almost at the same time. The left winger Donnarumma was wearing the blue and white Brescia jersey. The centre-back Gonzalo, who was on the right, was wearing the iconic violet lily jersey. Donnarumma was 180 centimeters tall, and Gonzalo was 182 centimeters tall. The two were almost the same height. Neither had a clear advantage. So Xiao Chenhui was not the only young demon in Brescia. The smaller Tonali was also a demon. The observation before passing the ball allowed him to see the position between his teammates and opponents. Therefore, he made a curved ball, which deceived Paschal, and accurately found Donnarumma. If the ball was passed to the other side, the Radi would be at a complete disadvantage in competing for headers against Savic, who was nearly 190 centimeters tall. With his superior jumping ability, Donnarumma got the ball first. He headed the ball into the penalty area. It landed near the penalty spot. There, Xiao Chenhui appeared like a ghost. Without waiting for Donnarumma's pass to land, he raised his right foot and slammed it hard on the bottom of the ball. Bang! There was a loud roar when the ball touched the instep. The next second, the ball was like a cannonball, whistling straight to the upper right corner of the goal. Chapter 81 Xiao Chenhui's song. Xiao Chenhui, who has been practicing Dragon Kung Fu for many years, is already quite strong. After maximuming out several sub-items of the strength attribute, his ability to use strength has become even stronger. This powerful shot from the bottom left Florence goalkeeper Roberto Baggio helpless. As soon as he made the save, the football plunged into the dead corner of the goal and hit the net hard. Brescia leads by 1 goal. Plop, plop. The football that spun several times on the net landed at the same time as Roberto Baggio, who made the save. However, one was inside the goal and the other was outside the goal. Brescia's players ran up frantically to celebrate with Xiao Chenhui. Stacking people and other things were naturally inevitable. The miserable cry of a certain animal sounded unchanged. It was robbed again. Xiao Chenhui, who was pressed down, swore secretly. Next time, he must let Monica in the press area observe carefully with a camera to see who did it. If this shocking case is not solved, the bird's nest will be completely emptied. Poor Xiao. In the audience, hundreds of Brescia fans who came to watch the game were immediately excited. They all started singing, "You are our Xiao, Xiao Chenhui. No matter how much I love you, it's not enough." The wine-chasing boy pierces the heart of the opponent. Light up the fire of Brescia. Fire, 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 fire. Xiao Chenhui, who had just stood up from the Ahad formation, was deeply moved when he heard this magically modified Dragon Country song. He looked towards the stands where Brescia fans gathered affectionately. He kept patting the team badge on his chest with his right hand. Then he bent down deeply. The 2 commentators in the live broadcast room in China were also moved. Duan Zuan said with emotion, "For the first time in the Apennines, a melody from Longguo sounded because of a Longguo player. Although this is not a Longguo team song, it is just a song adapted by Brescia fans for Xiao Chenhui alone, but it is also worthy of the pride of every Longguo citizen." Senior Serie A commentator Zhang Lu's lips trembled with excitement. When a team sings for a certain player, it means that this player has become the unique core of the team. Our player Xiao Chenhui is the core of Brescia, the soul, the undisputed flag of this team. Before this, no Longguo player has ever been able to do this. Now, Xiao Chenhui has done it. He not only carried the flag of Brescia, but also let us Longguo people see the dawn in the darkness. Just because of this goal. Just because of this song. Just because of Xiao Chenhui's action of slapping the team emblem and bowing to express his gratitude. Many Longguo players who were watching the game through live broadcast changed their positions. From Xiao Chenhui's performance, after scoring the goal, he doesn't seem to be an arrogant person, right? That's right. He is so grateful to Brescia fans, which shows that he has not forgotten his original intention. How could he refuse the call of the Dragon Country team? It seems that conspiracy theories still exist. I have to say that those who suspected that the Pig Association had made another stupid move before, you have to stop. Compared with some fans who had doubts before the game, more people used barrages instead of shouting, "Brother Hui. Yides. I love Brother Hui so much. Always support Brother Hui. Brother Hui is invincible. Brother Hui is awesome. Whoever dares to criticize Brother Hui again, just wait for our fan club to send him razor blades." Anyone with a brain should be able to see Brother Hui's character. What's going on? Even a heel can figure it out, right? Brescia gave Xiao Chenhui the opportunity to enter the professional league. Xiao Chenhui is already so grateful for the Dragon Country that raised him. Will he really refuse cruelly? The answer is already obvious. It's not that Xiao Chenhui is unwilling to return to China to compete. The pigs in the Pig Association must have some crooked ideas again. Many indignant fans turned their guns around instantly. This led to a wave of angry attacks on the Pig Association. How did the Asian Cup qualifiers go? Didn't the Pig Association know what was going on? Why didn't they use a player as good as Xiao Chenhui? Why did they have to set up layers of obstacles? They must not let the Dragon Country even make it to the Asian Cup finals. These pigs. The voices on major domestic forums instantly deviated from the stadium. Countless veteran drivers drove onto the highway. They drove straight to the Pig Association headquarters with trolls of various calibers. The press area at the side of the stadium. Monica Liata listened to the catchy melody sung by Brescia fans. A knowing smile appeared on her beautiful face. Italy and Dragon Country are separated by thousands of mountains and rivers. How did this song get to Italy? Of course, Monica personally modified it. She released the song through her personal social software. Based on Monica's super high popularity in Brescia, as well as Xiao Chenhui's powerful performance on the field. Coupled with the catchy melody of this song, it immediately became popular throughout Brescia. Basically, every Brescia fan can sing a few lines. If you can't hum a few lines, you'd be embarrassed to say that you are a diehard fan of the local team. The name of this song is Song of Xiao Chenhui. Xiao Chenhui's song was sung twice in a row. The excitement of Brescia's diehards finally subsided a little. Let the field return to silence. After the celebration, the Brescia players returned to their positions. It was still the weird and brutal 4-2-4 formation. Seeing this, Fiorentina coach Montella had a headache. Just the goal just now. It was too damn brutal. It was almost all attack and defense. Can you imagine that they almost rushed forward when defending? Is it also a rush when attacking? Is this a game? It's just a group fight, isn't it? Montella couldn't help but turn his head and look at Inzaghi again. He found that his face was as calm as water. There was no change. Unable to find a flaw on Inzaghi's face, Montella had to retract his gaze. He shouted to Joaquin, who was walking by the side road, "Tell everyone to charge and play to the advantage of the midfield. Keep the ball firmly in our hands." Joaquin nodded. He passed Montella's instructions to David Pizarro and Ambrosini. Then the two of them passed them to the players in other positions in turn. Not long after the game started, Brescia stole a goal. Of course, the players of Florence were unwilling to sit and wait for death. In the next time, Brescia must be pressed to the ground and rubbed hard. Beep. The opening whistle sounded again. It was still Mario Gomez who kicked off. The ball was still passed to David Pizarro, the core of the midfield organization. This process was almost the same as a paste and copy at the beginning. The difference was that when Mario Gomez passed the ball and turned around, he looked. The players of Brescia were like the ebb tide. Hoola, they all ran back at once. No one stepped forward to steal the ball. Even Xiao Chenhui retreated to the midfield. The 4-2-4 formation instantly changed to 4-6-0. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 82. Brother, what are you doing? Brescia's formation change shocked Montella and shattered his glasses. He wanted to ask Inzaghi, brother, what are you doing? When Brescia attacked just now, the 4-2-4 formation changed to 4-0-6. Now it's time to shrink the defense, and you made me a 4-6-0? Do you really know what I want to do? Why don't you just make a 1-0-0-0 and shrink all the players to the penalty area? You are so weird. Does your sister-in-law know? If she knows, she will say goodbye to you directly, so that you don't have to think of any crooked tricks. I'm afraid your sister-in-law can't bear it. Inzaghi seemed to feel Montella's resentful eyes. Silently said, I don't know if your sister-in-law can bear it. Anyway, you can't bear it. You should take care of yourself first. Just as Inzaghi expected. In the next 30 minutes, Fiorentina's three lines took turns to put pressure on Brescia. Shots from Mario Gomez and Giuseppe Rossi on the front line. Long shots from David Pizarro, Joaquin and Cuadrado in the midfield. A powerful header from Savic in the back row. Round after round of bombardment, they just couldn't knock open Brescia's door. Either they were resolved by the defense created by Skriniar and Koulibaly, or they were intercepted by Kimmich, who rushed over from the wing, or they were destroyed by Xiao Chenhui and others who returned to defense and went out of the baseline. There was even one time when Mario Gomez finally got a chance to score a goal. He had already dribbled past goalkeeper Andre Nassi. When he pushed the ball towards the goal with a steady shot, the ball was about to cross the goal line. Xiao Chenhui, the beast, rushed over at the speed of Liu Xiang, the flying man of Dragon Country. A sliding tackle blocked the ball that was about to go in. Mario Gomez was so angry that he almost swore. Fiorentina had many chances to shoot. However, due to Brescia's 4-6-0 formation, those shooting opportunities were not good. Most of them were barely able to shoot. Only Mario Gomez's shot was the most reliable. A single shot. An empty goal. With the tight defense of the 4-6-0 formation, how rare is it to get such an opportunity? It's not much worse than spending $2 to win $5 million. But it was still blocked by Xiao Chenhui. Mario Gomez's annoyance is beyond words. It's like a 7-star lottery bought for $2, and the first 6 digits are all correct. When Mario Gomez thought the ultimate reward was within his reach, the last digit suddenly went off. The ultimate reward instantly turned into a bubble. There was not even a consolation prize. This is because as a professional player, Mario Gomez's mentality is still strong. If it were an ordinary person, he would have squatted in the corner with his head in his hands and banged his head against the wall until the 40th minute of the game. Brescia goalkeeper Andre Nassi felt that Florence's offensive power suddenly weakened a lot. So he took advantage of a goal kick. He raised his arms and kept swinging forward. He signaled his teammates to prepare for a large-scale attack. Xiao Chenhui and other offensive players received the signal successfully. They ran to the front court with their heads down. 2 offensive players were deployed on each of the 3 lines. 1-0-0-0. 4-6-0 turned back to 4-0-6. This change was arranged by Inzaghi before the game. Florence does have world-class stars on each line, but Florence's foundation and economic strength cannot support the name of a rich club. Most of the world-class stars playing in the team were eliminated from other wealthy teams after their peak period. After the peak period, it means physical exhaustion. Letting the midfielder go and let them attack for more than half an hour. It is definitely not Inzaghi letting the water. Instead, it is to consume the physical strength of the Florentine players to the greatest extent. Under normal circumstances, near the end of the first half, most players' physical strength will be in a bottleneck period. They need a 15-minute break in the middle of the game to recover. For the older players of Florence, it is even more obvious. Rich game experience often means insufficient physical strength. This is a common problem that professional players cannot avoid. After enduring for so long, it is time to launch a desperate counter-attack. Andre Nassi turned into Inzaghi's baton and implemented the coach's orders. The reason why the 4-2-4 formation is called a brutal formation is that this formation will never leave any room for the opponent. Of course, it will not leave room for itself. It's just that in the traditional 4-2-4 formation, the 2 wingers are flexible in their positions. When the wingers go up, it is 4-2-4, and when they withdraw, it is 4-4-2. The 4-2-4 offered by Inzaghi is even more exaggerated. The variables are Tonali and Biselli in the midfield. They don't entangle with the 5 midfielders of Florence at all. Either go up and change to 4-0-6 or withdraw to form 4-6-0. Fiorentina wants to play to its advantage in the midfield? No way. It's just exhaustion. The panting Fiorentina players haven't figured out what's going on yet. They saw Andre Nassi directly launch a long pass. Xiao Chenhui and the other 6 players in the front court were like 6 arrows piercing the clouds. They rushed to the front court with a whistle. Each one is fatal. 1 arrow piercing the clouds. Thousands of troops come to meet. What will be the effect of 6 arrows piercing the clouds at the same time? Anyway, the 5 midfielders of Fiorentina were idle in the stagnation. The crazy attack will inevitably lead to the emptiness of the backcourt. The 5 midfielders collectively lost their positions. Andre Nassi's long pass past the midfield and let the ball fly directly to the backcourt of Fiorentina, who made them attack so fiercely just now. They were all standing relatively close to Brescia's front court. With huge physical consumption, the speed was greatly reduced. It was too late to turn around and catch up. They could only watch Andrinich's long pass fly over their heads and fall in a fatal direction. The 3 central defenders of Florence seemed to have agreed on it. They all ran towards the landing point of the football. Brescia must not grab this ball. Brescia invested 6 players in the attack. The front trident and Dybala, who served as the shadow striker, ran in 4 directions. Once Brescia grabbed the high ball, they would have multiple offensive routes to choose from. Either an inverted triangle pass to the penalty area, or a long shot directly from the outside. No matter what they chose, it would form a local 4-on-3 or even 6-on-3 situation. It was almost a 100% success. Therefore, Paschal and the other 3 central defenders had no other options. Not letting Brescia's players get the ball was the best choice. By resolving this attack, Florence could enter the halftime break with a score of 1 goal behind. There were still plenty of opportunities to overtake the score in the second half. If this ball was not grabbed and Brescia scored the second goal, Florence would be doomed. Chapter 83, Too brutal. On the field, blue and white lightning burst out. Xiao Chenhui's legs slammed the grass frantically. He charged towards the landing point of the football at lightning speed. According to Inzaghi's original design, when the 6 Brescia players rushed to the front field, the 3 central defenders of Florence should have been marking the players separately. With 3 players defending 6 players, they would definitely look very embarrassed. And no matter where Brescia grabbed the ball, whether it was passing or shooting, it could form a very threatening attack. Even the second goal of the game was scored. But man's plans are not as good as God's plans. Not only did the 3 central defenders of Florence not disperse their positions to block different angles, but they also launched a resolute sprint towards the same point. They ignored the Brescia offensive players on other routes. The 3 of them made it clear that they wanted to cut off Brescia's attack from the route. Seeing this scene, goalkeeper Ibrahimović patted his head in annoyance. He was a little too excited just now, so that the long pass was a little too big. It was a little close to Florence's backline. As a result, Xiao Chenhui, who was in the position to receive the ball, had to start running at an extreme speed to the point where the ball landed. At the same time, he had to face the siege of 3 Florence central defenders. The difficulty was multiplied several times. And even if he could catch the ball steadily, there was no good chance to pass the ball again. Those 3 central defenders running desperately could make him make adjustments? Obviously impossible. Even so, Xiao Chenhui did not retreat at all. Opportunities are always reserved for those who are prepared. When the opportunity arises, even if the hope is slim, you must try your best to fight for it. If you fight for it, you may not get anything. But if you give up voluntarily, there will be no hope at all. His feet left a clear mark on the lawn. His chest rose and fell violently. Xiao Chenhui gritted his teeth and tried his best to rush to the point where the football landed first. Among the 3 central defenders of Florence, Paschal, who was closest to the landing point, was still 2 steps away at this moment. It's just, although there is a distance of 2 steps, it only takes a moment. If Xiao Chenhui chooses to stop the ball, Paschal will be in place the next moment. Then, before he can get rid of it, Savic and Gonzalo will surround him desperately. What to do? Xiao Chenhui calmly looked up and glanced ahead. 20 meters away, it was Florence's goal. Goalkeeper Nito was afraid that the high ball would fall at the feet of Brescia players, so he chose to attack and advance. He came to the vicinity of the penalty spot and ran a few steps forward to rush out of the penalty area. If Xiao Chenhui chooses to stop the ball and adjust, he will have to face one more person in the siege team. In a flash, Xiao Chenhui made a decision. Since he couldn't pass the ball to his teammates, he would just shoot directly. Inzaghi on the sidelines saw Xiao Chenhui's determined eyes and knew what he was going to do. But the opponent's 3 central defenders plus a goalkeeper almost blocked all the shooting routes. Where is Xiao Chenhui's space to shoot? No. That's not right. The ground routes were all blocked, and there were still air routes. Inzaghi had not forgotten that in the previous game, a certain animal had performed a 2.38 meter overhead hook. Perhaps, the show was going to be staged again. Facts prove that Inzaghi guessed right. Xiao Chenhui kicked the lawn with both legs. The power of his waist and abdomen burst out. He suddenly jumped up from the lawn. He forced his body to complete a half turn in the air. One right leg stood up high like a scorpion's tail. The toes were slightly inward. He used the intersection of the inner instep and the front instep. He swung the falling football in the air. Bang! The strong impact sounded throughout the stadium. The football was like a snooker, that was it. The ball was spinning strongly and deformed, visible to the naked eye. It whistled towards the goal 20 meters away. It was 3 feet high in the wind. It was indeed the usual style of an animal. When Xiao Chenhui finished the series of complex movements of the overhead hook, Paschal and the other 3 central defenders barely came to his side. They stared in amazement at Xiao Chenhui's body falling freely from the air. On the side of the field, Monica in the press area did not have the eyesight of Inzaghi. It was not until Xiao Chenhui was about to land she realized belatedly that her boyfriend was saluting Ibrahimović in the direction of a scorpion's tail. What? Xiao Chenhui does not approve of the relationship between the two? Ask him if he has the right to speak. Sister has the final say. In the penalty area of Florence, Nito, who was about to rush out of the penalty area, braked the car quickly. He took a series of small steps backwards. Then he pushed off the ground with both feet and jumped back with all his strength. The whole body soared into the air with the buttocks and the sand falling like a wild goose. The right arm was stretched straight and reached above the head. He tried to change the flight trajectory of the football with his greatest effort. With his efforts, his fingertips did touch the ball skin, but it was just a slight touch. It was impossible to stop the flying football. At this moment, Nito was completely hopeless. It was all over. All his previous efforts had gone to waste. The goal he was guarding was about to be penetrated by Xiao Chenhui for the second time. Just when he was extremely frustrated, clang, the sound of the football hitting the crossbar sounded. It sounded like the sound of nature in Nito's ears. Great. Although he failed to stop Xiao Chenhui's scorpion tail, the goal resolutely said goodbye to Xiao Chenhui. Saved. Nito got up from the ground with ecstasy in his heart. He excitedly waved his fists and roared continuously, venting the frustration that had just appeared in his heart. After roaring several times in a row, he realized that something seemed to be wrong. Why were his teammates so dejected? Why did the Brescia players excitedly run to Xiao Chenhui and perform the classic shoe wiping celebration? Nito turned around with confusion in his heart. He looked in the direction of the goal behind him. How could the football stay in the goal? Shouldn't it have hit the crossbar and bounced off? In a football game, when the ball hits the goal, there is not only one possible outcome, being hit off. Another possibility is that the ball is bounced into the goal. As a goalkeeper, Nito is of course aware of these two situations. It's just that he has a preconceived idea. When he heard the sound of the crossbar hitting the goal, he subconsciously thought about the good side. Because deep in his heart, he hoped that the ball would not go into the goal. Seeing the football lying quietly in the goal, Nito's face fell instantly. In just a few seconds, he felt like he was riding the most exciting roller coaster in the world. From despair to excitement, and then from excitement back to despair. Looking back, he turned out to be a clown. Nito walked back to the goal silently. He reached out and hugged the goalpost. He was reluctant to turn around for a long time. Why? He was a little too embarrassed to see people. Chapter 84 Sweeping Florence. Brescia ended the first half with a 2-goal lead. The huge psychological advantage made the young demons excited. Inzaghi quickly took on the role of a firefighter. He used the halftime break to cool down the boys. No matter what advantage you have in the first half, never start celebrating at halftime. Because no one knows what the opponent will do in the second half. Why is Inzaghi so cautious? The night in Istanbul that year, a bloody lesson. It's all tears if you talk too much. But it is precisely because of Inzaghi's reasonable cooling. After a short 15-minute break, the fighting spirit of the Brescia youth guards became even higher. The boss said he is not satisfied with 2 goals. Even though Brescia is now in Serie B, it still has to make most Serie A teams feel fear when they see Brescia's jerseys. Tremble. Serie A. In the first 30 minutes of the second half, Brescia changed its formation to a 4-6-0 formation again. Xiao Chenhui and other forwards all shrank to the midfield and backcourt. They spared no effort to assist their team in defending tightly. They didn't give Fiorentina any chance to show off their power. They made the forward partners Mario Gomez and Giuseppe Rossi feel autistic. What the hell is this? Even Brescia can't park the bus like this. You guys are just bullying us because we are old. You use time to consume our energy. When we can't run anymore, you rely on your youth to launch a reckless attack. It's too unethical. Montella on the sidelines obviously realized this earlier. Seeing that his players couldn't attack for a long time, even hitting the Brescia penalty area became a luxury. Montella simply replaced the two forwards in the 65th minute. Instead, he sent in the striker Hamdoui, who just turned 30. Then he added a defender to the backline. The 3-5-2 was changed to a defensive 4-5-1, and the defender just sent on was also a central defender. The 4 central defenders huddled in the penalty area and defended. They didn't even leave the penalty area. The 5 midfielders also all pulled back. They pressed a little bit in front of the penalty area. Only Hamdoui was left near the midline, waiting for the opportunity to defend and counter-attack. It's not that Montella doesn't want to attack. It's that he has to guard against Brescia. How did they get robbed in the first half? Is it okay not to guard against them? The Serie A powerhouse against the Serie B underdog. Losing 2 goals is embarrassing enough. Montella never wants to see Brescia score more goals. But it's a pity. There are only 3 substitutions. The physical strength of most of the Fiorentina players on the field has been almost consumed. Only 3 fresh forces can't save the game. Intensive defense also needs sufficient physical support to play its due role. On the other hand, Brescia's side, youth has no limit. The young guards led by Xiao Chenhui seem to have no idea what fatigue is. Run, run, run. Rattling. In the last 20 minutes or so, the youthful vitality was fully demonstrated. He beat the aging Florence fiercely. Xiao Chenhui, who borrowed the Kinglangyanai Deo from Guanurge, stabbed Florence's wound again. After receiving Dybala's surgical through ball, Xiao Chenhui alertly countered the offside. Taking advantage of Paschal's carelessness while defending him closely, he easily got rid of Paschal's defense. He got a great chance to score a single goal. For Xiao Chenhui, the chance of scoring a single goal is infinitely close to 100%. Ronaldo's magical skill of pendulum passing is not a decoration. Shaking left and right, Nito was knocked to the ground like a wooden stake. Facing the empty goal, Xiao Chenhui raised his right foot and pushed it lightly with great comfort. He broke through Nito's 10 fingers for the 3rd time. Nito's legs began to tremble when he saw Xiao Chenhui dribbling the ball to the front of the penalty area during the subsequent game time. His nervous mood infected Paschal and other defenders. They focused most of their attention on Xiao Chenhui. It became extremely difficult for Xiao Chenhui to get the ball and run every time. After a few minutes, Xiao Chenhui simply gave up the idea of attacking. He used himself as a tank to attract firepower. He specifically went to the opponent's crowd. He went wherever there were more people. Xiao Chenhui's initiative to change was equivalent to sending a signal to other teammates. Let me attract the firepower. You reorganize the attack. Don't worry, you can shoot as much as you want. I'm in front of you. The little demons of Brescia's youth guards received the signal successfully. After getting the ball, they immediately looked up to find Xiao Chenhui's position. It seemed that they wanted to pass the ball to him. In fact, wherever he is, they won't pass the ball. The sudden change in Brescia's offensive rhythm made all the members of Florence feel very uncomfortable. Everyone was used to staring at that living animal. Who knew that he suddenly stopped taking the ball? From the explosive point of the attack to the stirring stick in seconds. I don't participate in the attack. I don't receive the ball either. It's just a mess. What can you do to me? The Fiorentina players who were at a loss were immediately confused. Brescia took the opportunity to launch a fierce attack. Dybala received the pass from Tonali in the front court. Without stopping the ball, he swept the ball directly to the ribs outside the penalty area. Donnarumma arrived at the right time. Fake pass. Used a realistic fake move to shake off Joaquin, who was actively returning to defense. Dribble into the penalty area. Then he pushed the arch of his foot. Pushed the ball back to the middle. Originally, the person who received the ball at this position should be Xiao Chenhui. But now he is focusing on the slow and meticulous work of stirring. So Dybala inserted and received Donnarumma's inverted triangle pass. After a slight adjustment, he passed the ball to the other side of the penalty area. Berardi rushed over. In the position between the penalty area and the small penalty area, he met the ball and shot. Savage, who was confused by Xiao Chenhui and couldn't find his position, turned around and returned to defense. He stretched out a long leg to block Berardi's shot. In the end, he was still a step too late. He failed to completely block the angle. The football kicked by Berardi brushed Savic's shin and flew towards the goal. And after brushing Savic's shin, there was a slight refraction. Nito, the goalkeeper of Florence, was caught off guard. He missed the football by a hair's breadth. He watched the football fly past his fingertips. Clang, it hit the goal. 3:0. Nito looked at Berardi with resentment on his face. It was like a tortured young wife looking at her man. Can you stop using too much strength? I'm going to be tortured to death by you. Can you still leave me some life? This time, twice, 3 times. It's not easy for Xiao Chenhui to stop being so wild. It's Berardi's turn to change his posture and do it again. Alas, this life is unbearable. Not only Nito thought so, but basically all the Florence players hung their heads. There were more than 10 minutes left in the game, and they were 3 goals behind. What to use to equalize? Take your life. Even the night in Istanbul was not so crazy. Let's end this damn game quickly. The 4th minute of injury time. The 94th minute of the game. Dybala made another deadly through ball. Donnarumma volleyed the ball 4:0. The referee felt that the Fiorentina players didn't want to continue, so he picked up the whistle and blew the whistle to end the game. The Fiorentina players collectively cast a thankful look at the referee. Good man. We have suffered less torture for several minutes. These Brescia guys are really bad. Thank you for the referee's rescue. Chapter 85. The Rage of the Grand Master. Magic City of China. Inside the headquarters of the Pig Association. Bang. Ke Zhenhui angrily slapped the laptop shut. His angry eyes passed over the laptop and fell on Zhang Jian. Zhang Jian shrank his neck slightly with a guilty conscience. He quickly went over what he had said to Ke Zhenhui not long ago. Xiao Chenhui is a proud guy. When he learned that the Pig Association invited him to join the Dragon Country team, he took advantage of the situation and took out the money of a big name star. He insisted that the Pig Association give him a bonus. For each game he played for the Dragon Country team, he would get a bonus of 500,000. For each goal he scored, he would get an additional bonus of 100,000. He is a complete money grubber. Even if such a person joins the Dragon Country team, he will not have any sense of honor and belonging. At best, he can only be regarded as a mercenary. The above is a report Zhang Jian made to the head of the group Ke Zhenhui after returning to China. Well, that's it. Xiao Chenhui is a guy who won't show his eagle until he sees a rabbit. No problem. He is a good player, but that is not a reason for him to threaten us. What we need is loyalty to serve the country, not a vampire obsessed with money. Ke Zhenhui had no idea that Zhang Jian had completely turned black and white. He really thought that Xiao Chenhui was a jerk who was obsessed with money. Yes, the leader is right. Such a person must not be allowed to join the Dragon Country team, lest he lead other players astray. Zhang Jian nodded and agreed. If Xiao Chenhui came to report, wouldn't the lies he told before be exposed? By then, it would probably be him who would be used as a target by the headmaster. This must not happen. There was silence in the room for a moment. The anger in Ke Zhenghui's eyes subsided a little. Looking directly at Zhang Jian, he asked, "Are you sure there is no misunderstanding?" Through the video of the game just now, Ke Zhenhui saw Xiao Chenhui bowing to thank the Brescia fans. Just like most Dragon Country fans, Ke Zhenhui also felt that Xiao Chenhui didn't seem to be an ungrateful person. Why is that brat unreliable when it comes to playing for the Dragon Country team? The contrast is a bit too big, isn't it? Hearing the little doubt in the tone of the headmaster, Zhang Jian's heart was beating fast. He pretended to be calm on his face. He said righteously, "Leader, how dare I not pay attention to such a big thing? I have been coaxing Xiao Chenhui for more than a week in Brescia and told him everything I should say. I broke it down and repeated it to him more than 10 times, but he just refused to nod. I have to give him a bonus of 10 million first, and then he will come back." He recited the lines that were arranged and memorized in advance again. Coupled with Zhang Jian's look of grief, Ke Zhenhui was really fooled by him. The anger in his eyes became strong again. He slammed the table and shouted in a deep voice, "From today on, Xiao Chenhui will be permanently banned from use. I just don't believe it. Without him, Longguo football can't do porcelain work. With him, it's 58. Without him, it's 40. The earth will still make money without anyone. Zhang Jian tried to suppress the ecstasy in his heart. He gave Chenhui a thumbs up and flattered him. The leader is still bold. I admire him. Longguo football should be drastically reformed like this. Those who don't have a sense of national honor and belonging will not be used. A round of flattery gradually dissipated the anger in Chenhui's eyes. But his face didn't relax much. Longguo team has not had a good record recently. They lost 3 consecutive games in the Asian Cup qualifiers. They are about to say goodbye to the main competition. This is something Chenhui absolutely cannot accept. When the previous masters were in charge of Longguo team, although the Dragon national team was eliminated in the group stage for 11 consecutive years, at least they were able to enter the Asian Cup finals. If he couldn't even make it to the finals, wouldn't it be a shame? That would be a historical regression. Therefore, those losers on the Dragon national team must crawl into the Asian Cup finals. Since there is no hope for Xiao Chenhui, then start from other aspects. Replace Camacho, who has lost face, and replace him with a famous coach to take charge of the Dragon national team. As the saying goes, changing coaches is like changing knives. Maybe changing the head coach can make it to the finals? Even if it doesn't work, at least it won't be worse than it is now, right? Chenhui, who made up his mind, set a goal for Zhang Jian and other deputy heads on the spot. No matter what method they use, before the next qualifying match, a famous coach must be replaced to take charge of the national football team. As soon as he heard that the head wanted to change the coach at the last minute, it has to be a famous coach. Zhang Jian and several other deputy heads felt miserable. There were less than 20 days left before the next qualifying match of the Dragon country team. Where could they find a famous coach in such a short time? Besides, how much would it cost to hire a famous coach? The more famous the head coach is, the higher the salary will be. Spending money on hiring a famous coach is like taking money out of Zhang Jian's pocket. Who can afford this? The Dragon country team has changed 26 head coaches so far. Except for the magical coach Miller, who is still somewhat well known internationally. None of the other 25 are famous coaches. Why? It's cheap. Wouldn't it be nice to put the remaining money in your own pocket? Why do you have to hire a world famous coach? With the few useless people in the Dragon country team, it would probably be useless, even if Lippy was poached. But since the head has given a death order, the deputy heads have to follow the rules, no matter how reluctant they are. Fortunately, Chenhui is a layman. It's easy to fool him. Just find a coach who has coached a European quasi-giant club to deal with it. With the same idea, several deputy heads looked at each other. They understood each other tacitly. The Longguo team's coaching change was a hot topic. The older generation of Longguo players were stunned. What are these leaders of the Pig Association? What are they doing? Changing coaches before the battle is a taboo in the military. They don't understand such a simple truth. They are going to die. The Pig Association refused to recruit Xiao Chenhui into the Longguo team, and the official statement permanently closed the door for Xiao Chenhui to enter the Longguo team. The fans were already complaining. They were just short of flooding the Pig Association headquarters with trolls of all calibers. Now they heard the news of the coaching change. The vast number of Longguo fans felt desperate instantly. Yes. Since Camacho took office, the Longguo team has indeed been getting worse day by day. They have been losing ground on the field. But no matter what, he is familiar with this group of players after all. A completely clueless person came up. It would probably take a while to tell who was who. Does the Dragon country team have that much time to waste? The next Asian Cup qualifier is just around the corner. Are the fans going to hear that sentence again? Time is running out for the Dragon country team. I'm really tired of hearing it. It's not easy to eat pickled cabbage with plain water for years. Can you give me some meat? Even if it's just a mosquito leg. Chapter 86. Different situations of ice and fire. Several deputy heads of the Longguo Pig Association, led by Zhang Jian, began the task of looking for a new head coach in a hurry. The head, Chenhui, adhered to the principle that he was not a professional and would never interfere in internal affairs. He gave Zhang Jian and others great trust and freedom. Little did they know, Zhenghua's decision gave Zhang Jian and others room to pretend to obey but secretly disobey. Under the pretext of looking for a head coach, several deputy heads traveled to Europe one by one. Well, they made a round of inspections. Whether they found the right candidate or not is not the first thing to say. Anyway, everyone brought back a lot of luxury goods. As for the money for buying things, of course the Pig Association paid for it. Did they have to pay for it themselves? No. They had a good time. Only then did several people remember the business of looking for a head coach, seeing that the deadline set by the head of the group, Zhenghua, was about to expire. They hurriedly looked for a good and cheap head coach candidate. After several screenings, they locked in the French coach Alain Perrin. Alain Perrin's resume is not that impressive. For most of his coaching career, he led mid and lower level teams in Ligue 1. He only coached Lyon for one season. It happened that Lyon was the most popular team in Ligue 1 at that time. It won 7 consecutive championships, which was unprecedented. Perrin took advantage of Lyon's strong team and copied the title of Ligue 1 champion coach. Since then, Perrin has never coached a top team again. He even got worse and worse. He even got to the Qatar League. Since September last year, he has been unemployed at home for several months without anyone paying attention to him. Even if he was beaten to death, he would never have thought that the people from the Longguo Pig Association would come to his door with a contract and a check. He was sitting at home. Good fortune came from the sky. When luck comes, it can't be stopped. Although the people from the Pig Association have repeatedly cut their salaries, it is definitely a big contract for Perrin. Otherwise, people would say that the people who play football in Longguo are stupid and have a lot of money. It's the answer. Actually, it's not that Zhang Jian and his team don't want to lower the price. It's just that the foundation of Longguo football is there. Who would be willing to come and coach without spending some money? Wouldn't that be a disgrace to themselves? What's more, with Perrin's price, Zhang Jian and his team have put a lot of money in their pockets. No one should delay anyone from making money. It's a win-win situation. The day after signing the contract, old man Perrin packed his bags and took a flight to Longguo with Zhang Jian and his team. During the flight, Perrin once again experienced what it meant to be stupid and rich. For just a few of them, it would be enough to sit in the first-class cabin. Zhang Jian chartered a luxurious private plane. The buttocks took up one seat. The legs took up one seat. The hands had to take up another seat. One person occupied 3 seats. It was like a rich man drinking soy milk. Buy 3 bowls, drink 1 bowl, pour 1 bowl, and give 1 bowl to others. Rich and inhumane. After a long flight, Perrin came to the ancient Longguo for the first time. But he was not in the mood to visit the scenic spots and historical sites of Longguo. He immediately plunged into work. The next game of the Asian Cup qualifiers was about to start. There was not much time left for the Longguo team. There was not much time left for Perrin either. He had to get familiar with the characteristics of the Longguo players as soon as possible. Find a way to combine them into a whole. But when he really came into contact with the Longguo players, he realized that he had thought too simply. Although he was mentally prepared, he could never have imagined that the technical and tactical level of the Longguo players was in such a huge contrast with the strength of Longguo. Longguo's comprehensive national strength ranks first in the world. The strength of the Longguo team is probably in reverse. Even the most basic stop can be stopped 3 meters away. Is this the level that players of a great country should have? Not as good as the French Ligue 1 relegation team that Perrin coached before. How happy Perrin was when signing the contract. How upset he is now. If he had known that Longguo football was such a big pit, he would not have signed the contract, even if he was paid twice as much. What if I fail to fill the hole and fall into it instead? Will I be buried alive by hundreds of millions of Dragon fans? Perrin looked at the entrance of the training base with a bitter look. Is it too late for me to regret now? I don't want the salary anymore. Let me go. Heaven, earth, which kind fairy sister will come to save me? God closed the doors and windows to Perrin. He rejected his prayers. Perrin, the old man, is 58 years old this year. Where can God find a fairy sister older than Perrin? God is surrounded by cute girls like flowers and jade. Okay. The youngest one is so eye-catching. Is he qualified to work beside God? How annoying. Pair sighed and groaned, and lived his life pulling his hair all day. Xiao Chenhui, far away in the Apennines, was in high spirits. It formed a sharp contrast with Parin's depression. In the more than 20 days when the Dragon Pig Association selected and changed coaches, Serie B went on for 3 rounds. Led by Xiao Chenhui, Brescia's young guards were in great momentum. In the 28th round, they beat Latina 2-0 away. Xiao Chenhui and Berardi scored 1 goal each. In the 29th round, they returned to Brescia's Rigamonti Stadium and swept Trani 5-1. Xiao Chenhui scored a hat-trick again and assisted 1 goal. Donnarumma and Dybala scored the other 2 goals. In the 30th round, Brescia continued to play at home against Spezia. Xiao Chenhui showed off his pendulum skills in the first half, raising the number of goals in Serie B to 22. He also contributed 2 assists. Tonali and Skriniar, 2 midfielders and defenders, became the beneficiaries. After 3 rounds of the league, Brescia quietly rose to the 2nd place in the standings, squeezing Palermo to 3rd place. It was only 1 point away from Sassuolo at the top of the list. Maybe in the next league, Brescia will be able to complete the counter-attack and drive Sassuolo off the top spot. In the scorer list of Serie B, Trapani's Manxu has been a bit sluggish in recent league games. He has only scored 2 goals. The total number of goals is currently only 17. He is a whole slap behind Xiao Chenhui. Serie B has a total of 42 rounds per season. With only 12 rounds left, the gap of 5 goals is not so easy to overcome. Although it is too early to talk about who will win the Serie B Golden Boot this season, but anyone with a discerning eye can see that, as long as Xiao Chenhui maintains the performance of 6 or 7 skills in the remaining 12 rounds of the league, the Golden Boot will not fall into the pockets of others. Brescia was in a mess at the beginning of this season. After the winter break, it seems to have been reborn. It has made progress in both the league and the cup. The changes have a lot to do with Xiao Chenhui, this living beast. If he hadn't been wielding the machete borrowed from Guarneggia at every turn, chasing his opponents and slashing them again and again, would Brescia have been in the situation it is today? So, some well-known agents began to get restless again, such as Menz and Raiola. Several teams that were in urgent need of strengthening their forwards were also ready to make a move, such as Fiorentina and Inter Milan, who had been abused by Xiao Chenhui. Even Juventus's boss Andrea Agnelli took the initiative to call Pirlo, asking if there was a possibility of introducing Xiao Chenhui, a player who had never played in Serie A even in Serie B. The number of appearances was very few. This caused a local earthquake in Serie A, and it was a mess. Chapter 87, a blow to the head. Ignoring the noise outside, Xiao Chenhui still put all his energy into the game and training. After several consecutive rounds of games, he maximumed all the small attributes of set pieces. Unlike the previous shooting attribute and strength attribute, there was a new change in the set piece attribute. It increased from the initial 72 points to 74 points. The system displayed: name, Xiao Chenhui, age 18, height 185 cm, weight 75 kg, position on the field, center forward, winger, shooting 85, defense 32, dribbling 86, passing 74, goalkeeping 10, set pieces 74, strength 85, speed 92, bounce 78, awareness 86, physical strength 76, comprehensive score 81, exclusive skills. SSS level, pendulum passing, Asian pioneer mode is not yet enabled. Weak country strong general mode is not yet enabled. Golden ball mister mode is not yet enabled. Perhaps it was because he completed the 3-point training of 3 attributes in a row. Xiao Chenhui's overall score also increased by 1 point. The total score increased to 81 points. If this trend continues, perhaps before the next season, he will be able to upgrade Ronaldo's star card to a perfect integration. But you have to eat one bite at a time. You have to take one step at a time. The most important thing now is to play well in every game that comes next. Don't leave any regrets in the first season of your career. However, in the next league, Xiao Chenhui suffered the first defeat of his career. In the 32nd round of Serie B, Brescia challenged Cittadella away. Cittadella is currently ranked 18th in the Serie B standings. That is, the 5th to last result. It is hard to say whether it can keep its seat in Serie B, but it is such a weak team ranked last. It relied on a penalty kick at home and defeated Brescia, which was in the limelight. 1:0. Not only did Xiao Chenhui's momentum of scoring goals come to an abrupt end, but it also gave Brescia's young army a blow. Youth has no limit, but youth always has more momentum and less calmness. After winning several consecutive league and cup games, the mentality of Brescia's young players inevitably changed. They believed that there were no more opponents in Serie B, that they were worthy of attention. Even most of the players had begun to look forward to the Serie A next season. The young players paid the price for their youth with their fluctuating mentality. It was not surprising that they lost to a small team at the bottom of the rankings. After returning to Brescia after the game, Inzaghi rarely started closed training. Everyone. Extra training. Even Xiao Chenhui, who was still eye-catching in the previous game, and was only one goal away, was no exception. On the training ground, Inzaghi's stern roar echoed from time to time. Do you think you are the boss? That's just what you think. Learn a lesson. How many times have I told you about the example of capsizing in the gutter? Have your ears grown to the back of your head? You ignored my words, right? I tell you, you are still far from the real level of Serie A. Don't think that you can rest on your laurels after winning a few games. That will only make your limbs degenerate. I hope you remember this shame and think of it from time to time. Don't make the same low-level mistakes again. The young demons lowered their heads and dared not speak. Under the leadership of Xiao Chenhui, they turned their grief and anger into strength. They put all their strength into training. A failure is not terrible. What is terrible is that after falling, you don't have the courage to stand up again. Many talented young players lost their former glory after suffering a blow. In the end, they became mediocre. Such examples are everywhere. Fortunately, the captain of Brescia's young demons is a strong and resilient person. No difficulty can knock him down. When everyone needs him most, he stood up without hesitation. He inspired everyone to get out of the haze and move forward with his actions. Under Inzaghi's serious appearance, he hides a happy heart. It is inevitable for young people to suffer some setbacks. If some problems do not surface actively, there is no way to discover and solve them. Although Brescia lost a game, it was just an ordinary league game. Inzaghi pays more attention to the upcoming Italian Cup. Losing points to a weak team can be regarded as a wake-up call to the young guards who are full of momentum. Let them see their advantages and problems more clearly. Continuously growing in setbacks is much better than being praised to a high position with smooth sailing and then falling headfirst beyond recognition. Inzaghi believes that after this lesson, his young demons will definitely grow up quickly. What's more, Inzaghi also planted a spy among the young demons. The training volume and intensity of Xiao Chenhui, the live beast, are already very high. Why should he be punished with the team? Because he is the spy. In the process of being punished with his teammates, he cooperated with Inzaghi's training to inspire the fighting spirit of the young demons. One plays a good cop and the other plays the bad cop. Two-pronged approach. By the way, consolidate Xiao Chenhui's core position in the team. Let the young demons be more convinced of him. In Longguo's words, this is called killing three birds with one stone. No problem. 5 consecutive days of extra training. Brescia ushered in the next opponent of the Italian Cup, Naples. What a coincidence. In the last round of the Cup, Brescia eliminated Fiorentina at the Diego Maradona Stadium in Naples. As a result, they turned around and faced Naples. If Brescia is the young guard of Serie B, Naples is the young guard of Serie A. Last season, a storm of youth swept through Serie A. They won the runner-up in Serie A. Since Maradona led Napoli to win the Serie A championship, the second place is their best record in 22 years. They can leave behind the 2 Milan giants in the traditional top 3. Napoli's strength should not be underestimated. What's more interesting is that according to the original trajectory of history, Calibali should have joined Napoli this summer. However, Xiao Chenhui urged Inzaghi to take the lead in the winter break and brought Calibali to the Rigamonti Stadium. After the turn of fate, Calibali became Napoli's opponent. The defense line formed by him and Skriniar will build an iron gate in the backcourt to resist the impact of Naples and defend the honor of Brescia. The third round of the second round of the Italian Cup will be held at the Olympic Stadium of the Roma team. The winner will enter the final. The loser can only chase the third or fourth place. For Inzaghi and Brescia, third, fourth or even runner-up is meaningless. The ultimate goal is to win the Italian Cup and get a ticket to the European Cup. Fortunately, after 5 days of adjustment, Brescia's young players have regained their form and confidence. Each of them is like a phoenix reborn from the ashes. They stepped onto the Olympic Stadium in Rome with high morale. Chapter 88, the only seedling in Serie B. Among the teams that entered the second and third rounds of the Italian Cup this season, almost all of them are from Serie A. This is already commonplace. After all, the overall strength of Serie A teams is several levels higher than that of Serie B or Serie C in the early stages of the cup. Lower level teams may still win 1 or 2 games. The later the cup is, the more serious the Serie A teams will be. Therefore, it is difficult for lower level teams to enter the third round of the second round. From this perspective, Brescia has already broken the record. As the only team from Serie B to enter the third round, every step forward is to create history. At least in Inzaghi's impression, no Serie B team has ever gone so far in the Italian Cup. Such an important game, of course, cannot be broadcast by Xiao Chenhui Sports Channel. Xiao Chenhui Sports Channel. Xiao Chenhui Sports Channel. Hello everyone, I'm your old friend Duan Zuan. Welcome to watch the third round of the second round of the Italian Cup in the 2013-2014 season. This game will determine who will enter the final 2-round final. It is worth mentioning that Brescia is the first Serie B team to participate in the Italian Cup semi-finals in many years. Our young player Xiao Chenhui is the captain of this team. Brescia can come to the semi-finals. Xiao Chenhui can be said to have made an indelible contribution. In the previous few cup games, Xiao Chenhui scored 6 goals and contributed an assist. It can be said that our young player is carrying Brescia forward with his own strength. The players of both sides have not officially entered the field. Duan Zuan first set off the atmosphere, leading the vast number of fans in Longguo. They praised Xiao Chenhui. In fact, Duan Zuan's words are not exaggerated. If it weren't for Xiao Chenhui's repeated efforts to turn the tide, Brescia might have been like other Serie B teams, knelt in the first round. Not to mention the elimination of Inter Milan, Juventus and Fiorentina, and the semi-finals. Xiao Chenhui's strong performance will naturally attract widespread recognition from Longguo fans. Who among the big names in the Longguo team has this ability? They have to rely on powerful foreign players in the domestic arena to win the Longguo Super League Championship with very low gold content. If they were put on the Apennines, they would probably be the life of a water dispenser manager. Even, it is still a big question whether those big names dare to step out of their comfort zone and go to Europe to make a living. At least they get high salaries and play as the main force in China. Everyone is useless and no one is much better than anyone else. If they are criticized, they will be criticized together. It doesn't feel shameful. But if they go to Europe, they can't even play as the main force of a third-rate team. They can't even compete with European players who are not in the mainstream. Isn't that embarrassing? The big names thought, oh, it's too risky to play football in Europe. It is better to earn some stable money in China. How comfortable. Therefore, whenever Xiao Chenhui appears in the field of vision of Longguo fans will always unconsciously put him together with those big names for discussion. There is no harm without comparison. Once compared, the gap is immediately apparent. Then praise those who should be praised. Demote those who should be demoted. Everyone returns to their place. Who made such a big country like Longguo produce such a promising player as Xiao Chenhui? Seeing that the barrage on the forum was about to be directed at scolding the big names of Longguo and bombarding the pig association, Duan Zuan quickly pulled the rhythm back. The players of both sides have officially entered the field. Now, please invite Coach Zhang Lu to introduce the starting lineups of both sides. Zhang Lu habitually laughed twice. He started his job. Napoli's starting lineup today is full of elite players. Higuain, who just transferred from Real Madrid this season, will play as the lone striker and be at the forefront alone. After Napoli's ace striker Cavani left for Paris Saint-Germain, Higuain filled the vacancy left by Cavani very well. He is currently the top scorer of the Napoli team. On the 2 wings, There are Collagen and Insigne. Among them, Collagen is also a former Real Madrid player. He transferred to Naples with Higuain before the start of this season. Interestingly, Collagen is the second top scorer of the Napoli team. The two former Real Madrid players played a crucial role in Naples. In the midfield position, Hamsik is in the area slightly ahead of the center of the midfield, and the tough player Gökhan is standing behind Hamsik. The two wingers are veteran Pandev striker Dries Mertens. The three defenders from left to right are Fazzi Goulam, Raul Albiol and Manolas. Among them, Albiol also transferred from Real Madrid at the beginning of this season. It must be said that the leftovers of Real Madrid are really delicious for some quasi-giant teams. Zhang teased a little. Then he continued, the goalkeeper is the veteran Reina, who is very familiar to everyone. He has been the main goalkeeper of the Premier League giant Liverpool for 8 years, and is very experienced. Under the command of tactical master Benitez, this Lineup has the strength to reach the quarterfinals or even go further even in the Champions League. Brescia's game will be difficult. They will face an opponent that combines old, middle-aged, and young players, who are both experienced and energetic. The Italian Cup has been played until now. It has begun to taste. It's like a jar of old wine that has been aged for a long time. As Zhang said, Brescia has indeed met an opponent this time. Inzaghi, who was standing on the sidelines, had a solemn expression from the moment he appeared. This time he was not pretending. He was really serious. No Serie A team would value the Italian Cup championship as much as Napoli. Napoli had won the Italian Cup championship for 2 consecutive years. Perhaps they could not compete with the traditional top 3 in the Serie A championship. They could not get involved in the league championship for 22 consecutive years. So they vented all their excess energy on the cup. Who knows? Anyway, this game is a tough battle. Inzaghi was not sure at all. I hope that the tactics discussed with Xiao Chenhui before the game can play a role in the game. In addition to praying, Inzaghi really couldn't do anything else. After a series of procedures such as taking photos and group photos, the game officially began. Napoli kicked off first. They had no intention of testing. The 11 players were like 11 angry tigers. In the first second of the game, they showed their sharp claws to Brescia. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 89, The Power of a Strong Italian Team. There is a reason why the players of Naples started to attack in the first second of the game. Looking at the European continent, almost every giant will have a period of decline after the peak. There are even many who have fallen from grace after the glory. Since Maradona left Naples, they have been sluggish for many years. During this period, they even fell to Serie B and Serie C. It is not an exaggeration to say that they have fallen from grace. Their desire for honor is stronger than that of Juventus and Milan. Anyone who has not had enough food for 22 consecutive years will feel very hungry. So Naples has continued to exert its strength in recent seasons and launched a strong impact on various championships that can be won. Naples, which has been on the rise, met the tactical master Benitez. It is even more amazing. It is definitely a chemical reaction where 1 + 1 is greater than 2. And the several former Real Madrid players and other new players that Benitez dug in the season are also players with a strong sense of hunger. Collagen, who was a bit player in Real Madrid, told reporters more than once, "I'm a player, and I should be the main player." Reina, who jumped out of the bleak Anfield goal, had this inner voice of a, "If a person has no ideals, what is the difference between him and a salted fish?" Albiol, who has been in the cold palace for a long time, reminds people all the time with his melancholy eyes and sighing beard. He still has a fire in his heart. He dreams of becoming one of the 11 bulls running on the South American continent soon. Higuain, who escaped from the Bernabeu and was eager to get rid of the nightmare of Benzema and Benzema Tyrannosaurus Rex. He even wanted to pick up 2 machetes and cut all the way from Nanchonman to Penglai East Road. Prove that he is a top killer who can stand alone. He is not inferior to Benzema and Benzema Tyrannosaurus Rex. So Benitez's vision of people is still very accurate. He knows what kind of players are needed in what kind of team. Players who were not valued in a giant club like Real Madrid immediately became pillars in Naples. They were eager to prove themselves in front of everyone. They were even more eager to help the team win all the honors. When the team's recovery collided with the players' hunger, the sparks that collided were undoubtedly brilliant. Just like the vigorous fighting spirit they showed at this moment. No fake moves. Just show your claws and tear. Naples played a 4-5-1 formation in this game. But Callaghan and Insigne on the two wings were two wingers when retreating. When rushing up, they were like two sharp wingers. The 4-5-1 agreed upon at the beginning suddenly became 4-3-3. It was clear that they were going to tear Brescia apart. The first move was to be a KO. Zhanglu couldn't help but sigh. Serie A strong teams are Serie A strong teams after all, and tactical masters are tactical masters after all. Naples coach Benitez, his ability to change tactics is really admirable. And these starting players are really fierce. Duanzuan nodded. Yes, this is not good news for the young Inzaghi. How will he deal with the changes in Naples? The two commentators' conversation was not over yet. All the players of Brescia retreated to the midfield and backcourt in unison. Even more resolute than the defense against Florence. 4-6-0. It doesn't exist 9-1-0. Except for Xiao Chenhui who intercepted in the midfield. He clearly stuck to Higuain. The rest of the front court players all shrank to the vicinity of the penalty area line. The four people on the back line were guarding the penalty area on both sides. Higuain is a player with very distinctive characteristics. He has superb shooting skills and agile movement. Both feet can pass and shoot. The awareness and ability of cooperation are absolutely world class. Very suitable for team counterattacks. But because of this, Higuain's frontal attack ability is not strong. He is not good at, or even hates, frontal confrontation. He cannot play the role of a bridgehead for back-to-back ball. To put it bluntly, Higuain, who is 184 centimeters tall, is actually the same as most of Argentina's forwards. His playing style belongs to the type of small, fast and agile. It is really difficult for him to take on the task of a high center forward. Strictly speaking, since the retirement of the god of war Batistuta, Argentina has never found a strong center forward with dominance in the penalty area in the past 10 years. Therefore, a large number of small, fast and agile forwards and wingers came into being. Leo Messi, Agüero, Tevez, Higuain. Actually, they all belong to this type of forwards. Dislike of confrontation is also a common problem of this type of forwards. It has nothing to do with height and weight. In order to make up for Higuain's shortcomings, Benitez worked hard to create this 4-5-1 to 4-3-3 formation. Strengthen the deployment of troops in local areas. Whether it is Callaghan's forward run, Insigne's ball control, or Hamzik's free attack, there is only one purpose: to keep the team's formation compact when attacking. Give more firepower support to the single arrow Higuain. Help him share the task of the bridgehead. Let Higuain release firepower without distraction. Xiao Chenhui, who did in-depth research before the game, still has a good understanding of Naples' style of play. The role of him staying alone in the front. It is not to facilitate counterattacks, but to clamp Higuain's assault. Don't you hate direct confrontation? Brother is going to fight with you. Wherever you go, I will follow. Brother is specifically marking your defender type striker today. See who is uncomfortable. If I can't mark you to death, I lose. Seeing Xiao Chenhui's running position, Higuain frowned secretly. The other players of Brescia were all returning to defense quickly. Why was this animal so different? I'm a flower and you are a bee. Are you staring at me and stepping on me? He muttered in dissatisfaction in his heart. Higuain immediately changed direction and tried to bypass Xiao Chenhui. He ran to the backcourt of Brescia to receive the ball, but after running forward for a distance, Higuain found helplessly that Xiao Chenhui was like a shadow. He followed him closely. His eyes did not look at the ball at all, but stared at the movement trajectory of Higuain's feet. Higuain immediately retracted his previous complaints. What little bee? Where did the little bee come from? This animal is just a dogskin plaster. The kind that can't be torn off once it is attached to the body. If it is torn, I'm afraid it will tear off a large piece of skin and flesh. Seeing that Xiao Chenhui treated him as a man marking central defender, he followed Higuain closely. Several offensive players of Naples immediately interspersed according to the established tactics. Just like in the Serie A before. Callaghan and Insigne cut inside without the ball from the two wings. Hamsik quickly rushed from the middle. 3 receiving points were formed around Higuain. They wanted to help him share some of the pressure. At first, when they were running, the Brescia players seemed not to see it. They ignored it. But when several people from Naples gradually approached the front of the penalty area, Berardi, Donnarumma, and Dybala took a few steps at the same time. They happened to stand on the connecting line between Higuain and other teammates. It's okay for the other people in Naples to pass the ball to each other, but don't expect to pass the ball to Higuain. Our Brescia youth team plays a tactic of multiple defenses against one. This scene. Pirlo, who was watching the game on the screen, was stunned. Isn't this our clamping tactic against Xiao Chenhui? The bastard has stolen so much. He actually learned this trick. Could it be that he has evolved on his own initiative again? This little monster. Chapter 90. Depressing first half. Any tactics in a football match. It is not that you can successfully steal the skills. Otherwise, wouldn't Barcelona's tiki-taka be everywhere? The tactics of a team are determined by the temperament of the team. What kind of element will stack up what kind of tactics? But this eternal truth seems to have changed when it comes to Brescia. A group of little demons, led by Captain Xiao Chenhui. Attack, they can play brutal formation. Defend, they can play the bus in the penalty area at will. When they need to control the ball, they can also play a decent tiki-taka. In the words of Longguo, they can go to the hall and the kitchen. They can do it all. It's like they have maximumed out the skills of stealing. Their tactics. They find ways to defeat the enemy based on the opponent's tactics. No matter how the opponent changes, they can always come up with more tricks than the opponent. Pirlo, who is very familiar with Inzaghi, knows very well that these crooked ideas are definitely not thought up by Inzaghi alone. He is a modest gentleman. How could he think of so many dirty tricks? It was probably that beast's fault again. The expert in making trouble is online. On the field. Napoli's first aggressive attack. In the end, it was resolved. According to their previous offensive habits, they still wanted to find Higuain in the last pass. And it happened that Xiao Chenhui's defense against Higuain had a loophole. Higuain ran out of a little space. But when the ball was passed to Higuain's feet, Xiao Chenhui grinned and stuck to him again. A mistake? That's impossible. Xiao Chenhui just deliberately missed half a body position. He deliberately let Higuain receive the ball. If he didn't receive the ball, how could Brescia grab the ball? Let the football be controlled at the opponent's feet. It is always a threatening thing. It is safer to control it at your feet. When Xiao Chenhui resumed his close defense against Higuain, Tonali and Bisoli followed one after another. The three of them surrounded Higuain and made continuous steals. Higuain, who already hated direct confrontation, felt even more annoyed. He was successfully intercepted by Tonali without paying attention. The ball was taken away from his feet. At this point, Brescia's tactics gradually became clear. Xiao Chenhui turned into a man-marking defender. He stared at Higuain. The two wingers Berardi and Donnarumma, as well as the offensive midfielder Dybala, were responsible for cutting off Higuain's connection with other teammates. Tonali and Bisoli saw the opportunity and helped Xiao Chenhui complete the high position pressing. It made Naples forwards uncomfortable, no matter how they played. The more they played, the more awkward it became. Naples' offensive routine was completely disrupted. In the more than 20 minutes after the start of the game, they almost surrounded Brescia. But they couldn't form a decent offensive coordination. They could only aimlessly take a few long shots from the periphery. Higuain, who served as the main center forward, was completely frozen by Xiao Chenhui. Benitez, who was holding his arms on the sidelines, had been closely observing the situation on the field. Seeing that his team was in a dominant position but couldn't score, he thought for a moment, raised his hands to his mouth, and yelled to the court, "Press up on both sides. Assist the striker to expand the advantage and score as soon as possible." The long-term attack is a great test of the player's patience. Over time, it will cause the players to gradually become impatient. Many classic battles where the weak defeated the strong were produced under such a change of mentality. We must take advantage of the absolute advantage to knock out Brescia as soon as possible. Dries Mertens and veteran Pandev on the wing received the signal successfully. They left the defensive position and joined the team besieging Brescia's position. Anyway, Brescia couldn't attack. Why do we need to defend the position? Benitez waved the flag. Naples invested heavily in bombardment. Although Brescia has contracted its defense, it still can't withstand the fierce firepower. Skriniar, Koulibaly, Kimmich and others on the back line are all young demons with great potential. But they have not yet reached their peak. At present, it is still a semi-finished product. With the help of other teammates, they fought hard for more than 30 minutes. In the end, Napoli broke through the defense. Hamsik made a precise lob pass over the heads of Skriniar and Koulibaly. Kalajan, who turned into a winger during the attack, rushed over. He swung his thigh and shot. The football whizzed past Andreas' fingers and flew into the goal behind him. Napoli led by 1 goal. After scoring the goal, Kalajan slapped the team logo on his chest hard. He roared repeatedly. In the more than 30 minutes of the first half, Napoli played too awkwardly. It was so awkward that it was suffocating. It was not easy to score a goal. I must vent my feelings. Tell the underdogs from Serie B who is the real Serie A powerhouse. In Kalajan's roar, the entire Brescia defense line, as well as Tonelli and Basali in the midfield, lowered their heads dejectedly. After trying so hard for so long, they still couldn't withstand Napoli's onslaught. Is this the difference between Serie A and Serie B? They tried hard. They fought hard. But in the end, they still had to accept the bitter fruit of failure. A sigh went up on the internet in Dragon Country. Everyone could see it. Brescia's young guards did try their best, but they still couldn't withstand Napoli's heavy punches. They were about to fall on the ring. In the live broadcast room of the Celestial Empire, Duan Zuan sighed. Sometimes football matches are like hardships in life. Even if you try your best, things still go against your wishes. So some people will question the meaning of persistence and wonder why they have to start from the starting point. Only when you look back and you see that you have actually walked a very long way, people will find that every second of persistence in the past has reshaped themselves. I hope Brescia will not be defeated by the difficulties in front of them, but will raise their heads and move forward bravely and be reborn from the ashes. Xiao Chenhui, who was far away in the Apennines, seemed to have heard Duan Zuan's encouragement. He raised his head and looked at his teammates. He took out the captain's momentum and roared loudly to his dejected teammates. The game is not over yet. Raise your heads. We eliminated Inter Milan and Juventus along the way. Last season's Serie A champions were defeated by us. Are you still afraid of the second place in Serie A? The future Serie A is still waiting for us to conquer. The real strong are never afraid of any challenges. They're always like a heavy hammer. It hit the hearts of the Brescia kids hard. It stirred up waves. That's right. We want to win the Italian Cup. In the future, we will also win the Serie A. We are the young guards who have defeated Inter Milan and Juventus. We are not weaklings. If you want to swallow us, we have to break Napoli's front teeth. Fight. Chapter 91 Captain's Duty and the Glory of the Flag. Seeing Inzaghi, who was the first to break the deadlock for Napoli, on the sidelines, Ben had already frowned. But when he saw Xiao Chenhui roaring and yelling at the players as the captain, Inzaghi's brows suddenly relaxed. One blow is nothing. In the final analysis, this is just an ordinary game. Even if they lose, Brescia can still make a comeback next year. The young demons of the young guard still have a bright future. Inzaghi is not someone who can't afford to lose. He is confident that he can train these young demons into absolute superstars in the future. And the one he is most optimistic about is undoubtedly Xiao Chenhui's live animal. In the previous games and training, Xiao Chenhui played the role of a leading elder brother very well. He led a group of talented young demons to train hard and polish themselves. However, he has always been very gentle to his teammates. He has never lectured in a roaring tone like today. And any captain with prestige and successful standard bearer must have a tough side. At certain times, he must replace the head coach to manage the noise in the locker room, even giving orders on the field. In the workplace, wolf nature is always the foundation of a foothold. This also applies to the football field. Inzaghi thought that it would take a long time for Xiao Chenhui to learn these. Unexpectedly, when the team was about to be knocked out, he stood up and encouraged his teammates domineeringly. This is the style that a captain should have. Not only must you have the ability to unite teammates in good times, but you must also have the domineering power to stimulate teammates in adversity. Regardless of the outcome of this game, Inzaghi has already gained the most. In his eyes, Xiao Chenhui's transformation and sublimation are far more important than a game. As Xiao Chenhui said, the game is not over yet. The Brescia Demons have regained their high morale at a speed visible to the naked eye. They are fully focused on defense. In any case, there are about 10 minutes left in the first half. Naples must not be allowed to score a second goal. Seeing the Demons raise their heads and chests under the leadership of the Demon King, the curve of Inzaghi's mouth became more obvious. Sometimes people grow up in an instant. At this moment, the little demons obviously transformed into big demons that caused trouble. They became more able to withstand setbacks. Among them, the demon with the best talent stood out and successfully grew to the level of Demon King. 23-year-old Koulibaly and Andrinak, 21-year-old Dybala, 20-year-old Berardi, 19-year-old Skriniar and Kimmich, 18-year-old Bisoli, 17-year-old Tonali. In addition to Xiao Chenhui, who grew into a Demon King at the age of 18. The average age of this young guard is only 20 years old. The future is promising. Come on. Let Brescia's youth storm blow more violently. Even towering trees and solid rocks will eventually be destroyed by this storm. The strong wind swept the dark clouds. Wherever it went, no grass grew. In the remaining games, Brescia's little demons never gave Naples any chance. The Napoli players, who were leading by 1 goal, entered the halftime break with a frustrated mood. Isn't it frustrating? They firmly controlled the situation for 45 minutes. They only scored 1 goal. The ace shooter Higuain was directly frozen. He was marked by Xiao Chenhui throughout the first half, and had no temper. He was like an invisible man. Irritability arose spontaneously. When the first half was coming to an end, Higuain fouled Xiao Chenhui twice in a row. This reflected the impatience of the Napoli players from the side. If Benitez could not adjust the mentality of the players during the halftime break, it would be hard to say who would win the second half of the game. After all, youth is Brescia's signature. Even if they had to endure it, they could endure Napoli until they could not run. It's like fishing. After the fish bites the hook, you don't have to pull it up immediately. Instead, you have to slide back and forth in the water for a few circles. Wait until the fish has no strength before you put away the rod. Now Napoli is the fish, and Brescia is the fisherman. Although Napoli has the upper hand on the field and took the bait in its mouth first, if it cannot break free from the hook before its strength is exhausted, Napoli will not only have to spit out the bait in its mouth, but will also become the delicious salmon sashimi on Brescia's plate. The head coaches of both sides also realized this problem. Inzaghi kept cheering up the players, affirming the tenacious performance of the little demons in the first half. On the other hand, Benitez was in a gloomy mood, assigning tasks to the Napoli players with a sullen face, requiring more players to actively participate in the attack, score the second goal as soon as possible, and make Brescia completely desperate. So after 15 minutes, when the players of the two teams lined up in the player tunnel again, the strong smell of gunpowder came up. The players on both sides wished they could use fierce eyes to make their opponents kneel down. Seeing that both sides were not friendly, the referee waved his hand and called them to go on the court quickly. With such a sharp confrontation, it is possible that they will fight in the player channel in a while. Let's go on the court quickly. Otherwise, who will he blow the whistle for in the second half? The air? Dear audience, after a 15-minute halftime break, the players from both sides entered the court again. Neither coach made any substitutions, but it can be seen that the players from both sides are holding their breath now. It seems that the two coaches still motivated the players during the halftime break. Even through the screen, we can still feel a hint of the battlefield. The 22 players from both sides have obviously regarded the court as a battlefield to decide the outcome. Duan Zuan, based on his keen observation, conveyed what he felt through the live broadcast. At this moment, countless Longguo fans who were watching the game in front of the computer screen clenched their fists and cheered for Xiao Chenhui. They knew that Xiao Chenhui could not hear them, but they still had to do it this way. Send a blessing and strength to Xiao Chenhui, who is far away in the Apennines. Just like how they treated Dao, who was playing in the MLS. Because they both have very similar characteristics. They are both representatives of the highest level of Dragon Country athletes abroad. 20 minutes before the second half of the game, the Brescia Demons still adopted a strict defense tactic. The opponent can pass the ball or dribble, but want to shoot? No way. As long as the Naples players approach the penalty area, they will immediately be chased and intercepted by the Brescia Demons. They will never give up until they steal the ball. The Naples players were very annoyed, gradually forgot the instructions of the head coach Benitez. They began to become impatient again. Chapter 92. Where did the monkey come from? Xiao Chenhui, who was keeping an eye on all directions and listening to all directions while defending Higuain, keenly captured the psychological changes of the Naples players. They have been patient for so long. They are waiting for this moment. His right hand seemed to be raised unintentionally. Xiao Chenhui made a gesture of preparing to attack. His action was very concealed. Only the Brescia players could understand it. To outsiders, it was just an ordinary swing of his arm. The Brescia players received the signal successfully. They fought more fiercely. They chased the Naples players in their backcourt. It was like a group of wolves seeing meat. The Naples players were in a panic. One by one, they complained in their hearts, "These guys are too unsportsmanlike." The intensity of the fight suddenly increased. "Why didn't you say a word in advance? There was not even a warning, and they went straight to the bayonet? The rhythm is so messed up. Hold on. Hold on. Control the ball in the opponent's half." Nenite shouted loudly on the sidelines. He wanted to redirect Napoli's attack. Unfortunately, the Brescia players had been patient since the first half. They had been holding their breath. In fact, Benitez could have reversed it with just one word. No matter how the Napoli players passed the ball back and forth in the front court, they just had to grab it. They fought hard to grab it. They used their abundant physical strength to force the Napoli players to pass the ball back and forth in a hurry again and again. They didn't give them the opportunity to observe or the time to pass the ball calmly. 3 minutes later, the veteran Pandev, who was deep in the hinterland, was not paying attention for a moment, and Kimmich made a fierce tackle and intercepted the ball. The age gap was highlighted at this moment. When they fell to the ground at the same time, Kimmich quickly stood up from the lawn and kicked the ball to Tonali, who ran over to meet him. The elderly Pandev just had time to support himself with his hands. It was still too early to stand up. Let the 31-year-old Pandev and the 19-year-old Kimmich compete for position. Isn't this difficult for Pandev? Xiao Chenhui, who had been closely guarding, started early. As early as, when Kimmich made a tackle, he shook off Higuain and rushed forward like a donkey. He ran past Hamzik and Insigne like a whirlwind. When Tonali received Kimmich's pass, Xiao Chenhui had already rushed to a position close to the center circle. Naples midfielder Inla hurriedly shook off his steps and stuck to Xiao Chenhui. He wanted to block his progress, but Xiao Chenhui didn't bother with him at all. He pushed the ground with both feet. The supercar Ferrari was in overtaking gear. The speed was 1 point faster. It whizzed past Inla. He didn't even have a chance to pull him. At the same time, Berardi and Donnarumma on the side also drove at full speed. They were standing on the left and right, like two little Zuanfengs following the Demon King to look for Tang Monk's flesh. They were just about to beat the gongs and drums and hum the tune of "The King Asked Me to Patrol the Mountain." They echoed the Demon King wreaking havoc in the middle. The players on the side of Naples had to return to defense quickly. Thus, they shared some of the resistance of Xiao Chenhui's forward advance. Bang! When most of the Naples players' attention was attracted by the rapid advance of Xiao Chenhui, Tonali in the backcourt suddenly passed the ball straight to the ground. The football rolled more than 10 meters along the grass. It came to Dybala's feet. Tonali's footwork was accurate. It's not that he didn't have the ability to directly launch a long pass to find Xiao Chenhui. It's just that in the previous bus defense tactics, Tonali's position at this moment was relatively backward. If he wanted to find Xiao Chenhui, the long pass must be accurate to the centimeter. A slight mistake might ruin this hard-won offensive opportunity. Therefore, long-distance passes are not as safe as medium-distance passes after all. It is most reliable to quickly pass the ball to Dybala and let him organize the attack. At this moment, Brescia suddenly switched from defense to offense, and Naples' rhythm has not yet fully adjusted. This offensive opportunity is extremely rare. If Naples adapts to the change in rhythm, it will not be easy to find such an opportunity again. From the action of passing the ball, it can be seen that Tonali's overall view is very good. He did not blindly look for Xiao Chenhui. Instead, he passed the ball to Dybala. This hard-won offensive opportunity can continue. And it also virtually increases the probability of converting offensive opportunities into goals. For qualified midfielders, every pass is not aimless. It should be like Tonali, elegant and accurate. What the Dragon Country midfield lacks most is this clear purpose. After they get the ball, they will most likely pass it to the person closest to them. Or they will pass the ball to the front court with a long foot. Who cares if it is a waste of opportunity? Anyway, I passed the ball here. Failed to score? Blame the striker. What does it have to do with me? Dybala, who received the ball, stopped the ball and turned around. He led the ball in front of him and faced the direction of Naples' goal. Seeing that Hamsik and Insigne could not catch up with Xiao Chenhui, they surrounded Dybala in a hurry. Dybala took a few steps forward calmly. He suddenly raised his thigh and made a high ball motion. Insigne, who arrived one step ahead, was worried that Dybala would pass the ball to Xiao Chenhui. Without time to think carefully, he suddenly threw himself to the grass. He wanted to block Dybala's ball route with his body. Unexpectedly, Dybala's thigh, which was raised high, suddenly fell lightly. Fake pass. The toe poked the bottom of the football slightly. The football changed its direction. Easily dribbled past Insigne's flying tackle. After all, Insigne was a winger. Defense is not his strong point. It is not surprising to be fooled by Dybala. Dybala, who had passed Insigne, did not even need to look up to observe Xiao Chenhui's position. He leaned back slightly with his upper body. He pushed hard with his arch. The football slid out along a diagonal line. The end point was exactly in the direction of Xiao Chenhui's running. Xiao Chenhui received the pass steadily at a position 6 or 7 behind the midfield line. He knocked the ball with the outside of his right foot. He knocked the ball to the right front. His body immediately rushed to the left. The Napoli defender Fazzi, who rushed up, was stuck in the middle like a wooden stake. The ball and the man passed. Not only did he fail to successfully intercept the ball, he couldn't even stop Xiao Chenhui. Reina, who was guarding the goalkeeper of Naples, was surprised to find that Xiao Chenhui was like a monkey in the Eastern mythology, who made a big fuss in the heavenly palace. He rushed towards him on a dark somersault cloud. He dodged and moved all the way. He used all 72 kinds of transformations. Hamsik, Insigne, Inla, Fazzi, none of the 4 could stop him. What made Reina even more incredible was that the guy on the somersault cloud could actually speed up again. An acceleration disguise shook the second central defender Manolas and made him lose his balance. He braked with his face rubbing against the ground. He fell behind Xiao Chenhui in a mess. Among the world-class players who have worked with Reina, Spanish Golden Boy Tours is the fastest. His 100-meter speed reached an astonishing 10.86 seconds. But Reina felt that even Tours at his peak seemed not as fast as Xiao Chenhui on the somersault cloud. With extreme shock, Reina decisively chose to attack. Each goalkeeper has a different style. There are gatekeeper styles and steady styles. Their respective specialties are also varied. And Reina is best at attacking. During his time at Liverpool, he saved Liverpool countless times with this unique skill. Before Reina attacked, Raul Albiol kept his center of gravity and blocked in front of Xiao Chenhui. However, Xiao Chenhui, who was like an animal, had no intention of slowing down. He stepped on the accelerator to the bottom. The speed that was already at the limit was even faster. From the time he shook off Higuain and launched the attack to now, this live animal has refreshed Reina's concept of speed again and again. He completed 3 speed increases. Reina was about to complain to the referee. "Referee, come and see. A monkey has entered the field." The monkey stepping on the cloud put on the Brescia jersey. He is competing with us mortals in speed. Xiao Chenhui was not in the mood to understand Reina's inner world. In the skill column, the pendulum pass sign lit up. Xiao Chenhui swayed left and right in high speed movement. He made 3 consecutive changes of direction. Although Raul Albiol was a veteran, he was still shaken by the pendulum pass skill. The center of gravity moved back and forth frequently and quickly. The body finally lost balance. He fell down on the lawn. Rihanna completely lost all his barriers. He felt that Xiao Chenhui had transformed from a monkey in Eastern mythology into an ancient Western vampire count. He showed him his sharp fangs. The system automatically filled in the narration for him. Hunting time has come. Please close your eyes before dark. Chapter 93. Havoc in Heaven. Xiao Chenhui. Facing Rihanna's attack, Xiao Chenhui did not use the magical skill of pendulum pass. Although the success rate of pendulum pass is as high as 95%, it is not invincible. Xiao Chenhui did not know whether attacking was some kind of innate skill of Rihanna, but his attack was indeed one of the skills to restrain pendulum pass. Perhaps attacking is a basic skill of most goalkeepers, but there are really few people who can polish this basic skill to perfection as Rihanna. Before all Albiol was knocked down, Rihanna chose to take the initiative to attack, blocking part of the angle in advance. This shows that he has a very accurate grasp of the timing, direction and other details of the attack. If Xiao Chenhui cannot pass Rihanna, then all the previous efforts will be in vain. He carries the trust of his teammates and the honor of Brescia. How could Xiao Chenhui take risks? So he did not choose the pendulum pass with a 95% chance of breaking through. Let's not talk about whether Rihanna's attack will reduce the success rate of pendulum pass. Even if it doesn't, Xiao Chenhui doesn't want 95% success, but 100% success. So how to achieve 100% success? No one is perfect. Everyone has their own flaws and shortcomings. Start from the place where Rihanna is most afraid or least good at. Maybe the success rate will be higher. Xiao Chenhui, who has watched countless live football games in the future, knows very well. Rihanna's various goalkeeping techniques are very solid, especially attacking. But he has an unknown shortcoming. That is fear of violent volleys. Perhaps most goalkeepers will be a little unresponsive when facing violent volleys. After all, violent volleys are powerful and fast, leaving the goalkeeper with a very short time to react. But Xiao Chenhui observed that compared with other excellent goalkeepers, Rihanna is particularly afraid of this. Maybe it has something to do with Rihanna's personality. He is a calm goalkeeper and relatively dislikes passionate and violent attacks. Or maybe it has something to do with the cultural influence he received. As we all know, the Spanish football team is a team that advocates gorgeous offense. To win, you must win beautifully. To lose, you must lose decently. They have taken passing and controlling football to the extreme. They have engraved gorgeousness and nobility into their bones. Just like an elegant and brave bullfighter, taking gorgeous dance steps and stabbing out precise sharp blades. This temperament is reflected in most Spanish players, whether it is a forward, midfielder or defender. In recent years, there are few players known for their strength. Even if there are, they are not recognized by most fans in Spain. In such an environment, elegance is the label of Spain. Powerful players have basically disappeared in Spain. Rihanna is not good at dealing with violent shots, perhaps for this reason. What he is least good at is what Xiao Chenhui needs to do. Violent volleys, such a strong job, are simple for Xiao Chenhui, who has maximumed out all the small items under the strength attribute. Lift your foot. Swing your thigh. The instep is stretched straight. Use the waist to guide the hips. Use the hips to guide the legs. The combination of the use of power from Dragon Country martial arts and modern football technology. Xiao Chenhui's right foot hit the football hard with the instep. Bang! A huge collision sounded. The football was like a powerful crossbow, a cannonball, and a meteorite falling from the sky. It went straight to the upper corner of the goal with great force. The shape of the ball was visibly changed by the impact. A shocking blow. Out of the subconscious, hidden deep in his heart. Rihanna dodges slightly for 0.01 seconds. Is this a monkey who can only tumble back and forth on the black somersault cloud? This is clearly a giant spirit. It was this short dodge that was almost negligible. Rihanna missed the best time to save. When he reacted and jumped up to save, everything was too late. The noble and elegant bullfighter was finally knocked over by the savage bull. It's not that the sharp blade stabbed by the bullfighter was not sharp enough. Instead, the fighting spirit of the bison is even stronger. The desire for victory is even stronger. 1:1. Brescia tenaciously equalized the score in nearly 70 minutes of the second half. The whole audience cheered, whether it was Brescia's D-head fans or neutral fans. Even some fans of Naples, they gave extremely warm applause to Xiao Chenhui's solo breakthrough. 3 midfielders, 3 defenders, plus goalkeeper Iana, a string of 7. Xiao Chenhui used his extremely fast speed, extraordinary courage, and delicate skills like a hare. From the backcourt to the front penalty area, he singled out most of Naples' midfield and the entire backline. He completed a long-distance raid that was enough to be included in the textbooks. 7 of the 11 players in Naples became the background board for his goal. If you count Higuain, who Xiao Chenhui got rid of at the beginning, that's 8. Infinitely close to the entire team. Such a miracle, even Xiao Chenhui himself might not be able to replicate it. You are our Xiao Chenhui. I can never love you enough. The wine-chasing boy pierces the heart of his opponent. Light up the fire of Brescia. Fire, 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 fire. In the audience, Song of Xiao Chenhui was played over and over again. It lasted for a long time. This song was placed in the scene in front of him. It was particularly in tune. It seemed to be particularly in tune. Xiao Chenhui once again conquered the picky Italian fans with the attitude of a wine-chasing boy. The live broadcast room of the Xiao Chenhui in the distant eastern continent was boiling. Duan Zuan almost slapped the table and roared, "The ball is in. In. I seem to see the alien Ronaldo returning to the court, with a slightly raised index finger, a lightning speed, and unparalleled passing skills. That's right. He is Ronaldo. Xiao Chenhui. Ronaldo of our dragon country." He was so excited that he couldn't even control himself. He couldn't even figure out what he said. Not to mention whether there were any grammatical errors in his sentences. Just shout. Ma Fanshu, who was standing in the live broadcast room and outside the camera, was so excited that he couldn't speak. He could only rely on the support of the wall to make himself stand. Otherwise, he would have fallen down due to the impact of excited tears. The live broadcast room where Duan Zuan was like a boiling point with extremely high temperature. The passionate temperature quickly spread out. It spread fiercely in all directions. Countless Longguo fans cheered and encouraged at this moment. Just like the Longguo team made it to the World Cup final in 2002. It should be said that after 2002, Longguo fans really didn't have the opportunity to cheer like today, because they couldn't find a player who could make them worship and fanatically admire. And now, perhaps as Duan Zuan said, Longguo's Ronaldo appeared. Although Xiao Chenhui is currently playing in Serie B, but who doesn't know that he will step into the Serie A field sooner or later? Sun Dasheng has successively overthrown the heavenly soldiers and generals of Inter Milan, Juventus, Naples, etc. Can you expect him to stay in Huaguo Mountain and be a mountain king? That's unrealistic. Sooner or later, he will fly up to the sky and go to the Longguo Palace to make a scene. What does the great sage want to do? Break through Longguo. What if he never comes back? Then pull the old Jade Emperor off the throne and sit on it himself. Chapter 94, Minor Injury. Xiao Chenhui scored a goal like a cloud, completely crushing the confidence of the Naples players. Even though the tactical master Benitez made adjustments in time, decisively replaced Higuain and the elderly Pandev who did nothing throughout the game, and replaced 2 substitutes at once in an attempt to make up for the disadvantage. He also changed Naples' formation to a 5-4-1 formation that is more conducive to defense through the substitutes, trying to control the situation. At least in the 90 minutes of regular game time, don't fall behind. But all this can't save Naples' collapsed confidence, especially the 3 people on the backline, led by Raul Albiol. They were just passed by Xiao Chenhui like wooden stakes, one by one. Who can withstand this kind of blow? The reason why Raul Albiol and others left a supergiant like Real Madrid was to come for the Serie A championship and victory. No one is here to be abused. In their minds, they lowered their prices. To come to Naples in Serie A they should have been attacking the opponent by lowering the siege. But they were hit by Xiao Chenhui instead. The huge psychological gap is definitely not something that can be recovered in a short time. At least in the remaining game time, they can't adjust well. Brescia's young demons took the opportunity to launch a crazy counter-attack. It started with Xiao Chenhui's equalizer. Brescia's offensive wave was like a long accumulated flood. Once the dam was dug, the waves were higher and higher. Xiao Chenhui's inverted triangle pass in the penalty area. Berardi and Donnarumma's furious shots in the ribs. Dybala's long-range artillery outside the penalty area. Skriniar's header from the back row. In just 15 minutes, the young demons attacked 9 times in succession. It was a pity that Reina seemed to be stimulated after losing the goal. He played exceptionally bravely. He made high catches and blocked the goal. He blocked the shots of Brescia's young demons again and again. Seeing this, Benitez was terrified on the sidelines. He secretly broke into a cold sweat. The game was in the 86th minute. Seeing that the 90-minute regular game time was over, Benitez turned and walked to the bench. He lowered his head and gave instructions to the players on the bench. He was going to use the last substitution to delay a little more time. But he had just said half of his words. He heard a crisp whistle behind him. Then, the audience burst into cheers that resounded through the sky, and those who jumped and cheered wildly, without exception, they wore blue and white jerseys, instead of Naples' traditional light blue. Benitez's heart suddenly turned cold. He turned his head with difficulty to look at the scoreboard on the field. The glaring 2:1 almost made him unable to open his eyes. What happened? Who can tell me what happened? It turned out that, just as Benitez turned and walked towards the bench, Xiao Chenhui took advantage of his speed and overtook Insigne on a curve and rushed in front of Insigne. Insigne had also observed the Brescia players around him before taking the ball. Insigne realized that Xiao Chenhui, who was closest to him, was 10 meters behind him. So he turned back boldly. He advanced steadily with the ball. He was looking for the best route to pass the ball forward. But he never expected that the moment he turned around, Xiao Chenhui started to run at the speed of a Ferrari. He rushed towards him at lightning speed. It was not until Hamsik hurriedly and loudly reminded Insigne to be careful behind him that Insigne noticed from the corner of his eye that someone was approaching him at high speed. Insigne quickly raised his thigh. He wanted to pass the ball to Hamsik quickly. However, when his foot landed, what he kicked was not a football. It was a calf full of muscular explosive power. It was Xiao Chenhui's leg. At the same time that Insigne raised his leg, Xiao Chenhui threw himself out diagonally. He stretched out his right leg as hard as he could and blocked Insigne's side and front. So Insigne could only kick Xiao Chenhui's calf. Insigne fell down in pain, holding his shin. The feet are the easiest to cause injuries to players. Even though he kicked Xiao Chenhui's calf, even though he had shin guards for protection, but he still couldn't stand the pain from his tibia. After all, the tibia is too fragile. Insigne fell down. Xiao Chenhui stood up. The moment he stood up, Inzaghi and the little demons of Brescia clearly saw that Xiao Chenhui staggered a little. Insigne was in so much pain. How could Xiao Chenhui be safe and sound? He was obviously in pain. I just don't know if he was injured. But even so, he still insisted on standing up. He raised his right arm high and waved it forward with all his strength, signaling to his teammates, attack. The little demons of Brescia temporarily suppressed their worries. Following Xiao Chenhui's instructions, they swung their legs and ran towards the front court of Naples. This is an inexplicable trust. The little demons believe that their demon king will continue to move forward. He will never fall. After running more than 10 meters with the ball, Xiao Chenhui's running posture became more and more strange. It was as if his two legs were not aligned. At first glance, he seemed to be a little lame. He was indeed injured. There was a piercing pain in the calf of his right leg. He had to slow down actively. Then he barely got past Inla's steal and passed the ball to the side. It was handed over to Berardi to deal with. But Xiao Chenhui, who had handed over the ball, did not stop moving forward. He continued to move towards the penalty area of Naples with a limp. Every step seemed so difficult. Monica Liata, who was in the press area on the sidelines, covered her mouth tightly with her small hands. A pair of bright eyes gradually filled with mist. She knew Xiao Chenhui was a bargainer a long time ago. He especially liked to lift weights and compete with barbells. But she didn't expect Xiao Chenhui to still choose to barge in when facing the injured. Injuries may slow him down, but they can never stop him from moving forward. It's just, my heart hurts so much. Monica Liata wished Xiao Chenhui could stop and call the team doctor to treat him. That way, his pain would definitely be relieved a lot. But Monica knew very well that Xiao Chenhui would never take the initiative to stop. There was not much time left in the game. This was Brescia's last chance to advance to the Italian Cup semi-finals. Based on her understanding of Xiao Chenhui, even if he was exhausted and died of pain on the field, he would not leave the green field. Because that was his battlefield. Duan Zuan in the Xiao Chenhui broadcast room was also deeply moved by this scene. He said emotionally, "We can see that Xiao Chenhui's legs are obviously uncomfortable, but he did not stop moving forward. Injuries are more ferocious than tigers. For any athlete, no one wants to be attacked by injuries. But our young player Xiao Chenhui, knowing that there are tigers in the mountains, goes to the tiger mountain. This is the attitude that professional players should have." Zhang Lu on the side added with deep emotion, "If all the players of our dragon country dare to fight and fight like this, perhaps the second World Cup trip will not be far away from us." Unlike Duan Zuan, who is in his prime, Zhang Lu is nearly 60 years old. Seeing that he is about to retire, what should he be afraid of when speaking? No means no. People are not allowed to say it. If everyone is as strong as Xiao Chenhui, who would have any dissatisfied opinions? Chapter 95 Benitez's feelings. On the field, Berardi on the wing broke through the blockade of Dries Mertens and Fazzy Gaulam. He rushed to the end line with the ball. Then he knocked the ball back to the middle and passed it to Dybala, who came up to meet him. Raul Albiol did not dare to neglect it. He rushed out and blocked Dybala, who was a little outside the penalty area. Dybala had made 2 long shots before. They were still quite threatening. Raul Albiol certainly would not give him the opportunity to shoot calmly, but he did not expect that Dybala had no intention of shooting directly at all. A fake shot and a real pass. Dybala dribbled the ball, shook off the angle, blocked by Raul Albiol, and pushed the ball back to the wing. Berardi kicked the ball. He rubbed the ball without stopping. The football was rubbed off the ground. It flew into the penalty area of Naples and went straight to the back point. Among the Naples defenders, Fazzy Gaulam was left on the wing by Berardi. Raul Albiol rushed out of the penalty area in advance under the pressure of Dybala. Manolas was guarding Donnarumma on the other wing. The other 2 defenders were also attracted and lost their positions. There was no Naples player at the point where Berardi's pass landed. It's just, there were no Naples players in that area, nor were there any Brescia players. Why did Berardi pass the ball to the back point? Did he not handle the strength well and kicked it? Of course not. A blue and white figure limped to the landing point. Although staggering, but extremely determined. Xiao Chenhui. When Berardi rushed forward with the ball and passed it back and forth with Dybala, Xiao Chenhui, who was slightly injured, but still on the front line, endured the pain in his leg. Came outside the Naples penalty area. Berardi passed the ball to the back point because he saw his forward route. The defensive players of Naples had already excluded Xiao Chenhui from the dangerous target when they saw him slow down his running speed. They didn't defend him closely at all. Can an injured player still be expected to destroy the city? He really can. Taking advantage of the slackness of the Naples players, Xiao Chenhui appeared silently in the fatal position. He kicked the grass with his injured right leg, driving the whole body to jump forward. The body and the grass almost formed 2 parallel lines that never intersected. When making this move, a trace of obvious pain flashed across his face, but his eyes were still firm. He stared at the goal behind Rihanna. His head tilted back slightly and then suddenly thrust forward. He hit the falling football hard with his forehead, diving to the top. In fact, Xiao Chenhui had not deliberately practiced such a move. The Ronaldo star card integrated into the system did not provide him with any bonus in this regard. Ronaldo is a star with a very stable lower body. There were very few aerial moves. Most of the time, he relied on gorgeous techniques to dribble past the goalkeeper and shoot into the empty goal. The reason why Xiao Chenhui chose the diving header was not for the sake of beauty, but the pain in his legs had made it impossible for him to move forward. Not wanting to miss the last chance, he injured the severe pain and swung himself out like a baseball bat. The football that fell from the air was the baseball that was hit. Bang! The sound of impact came between Xiao Chenhui's forehead and the football. The next second, the football whistled and hit the goal guarded by Rihanna. Like Thor's hammer, Riena's inner resistance to violent shooting once again made him lose the best chance to save. He could only watch the football pass through his 10 fingers. It slammed into the goal behind him. It spun and raged on the net. Beep. The whistle sounded. The goal was valid. The little demons of Brescia surrounded him frantically, but there was no celebration. There was no usual stacking of people. Instead, they stretched out a pair of big hands full of concern. He used his palm to build a stretcher. He put their captain on it and ran towards the team doctor on the sidelines. Team doctor, come and check on the captain's injury. Where's the ice pack? Prepare an ice pack for the captain first. The game and the like were no longer important at this moment. Nothing could touch the hearts of the little demons more than the captain's injury. The team doctor hurried into the court. He put the ice pack on Xiao Chenhui's calf. Then he took out the spray. As if it was free, he sprayed it on Xiao Chenhui's legs. Inzaghi stood anxiously on the sidelines, looking at Xiao Chenhui, who was taken over by the medical staff. He asked with concern, "How do you feel? Are there any broken bones?" Xiao Chenhui grinned and gave Inzaghi a smile. "Don't worry, boss. I don't think it's a big deal. Just muscle damage." Inzaghi's tightly locked brows slightly relaxed by 1 mm. "That's good. Leave the next game to us. You take a break first." Xiao Chenhui knew that this was not the time to show off. The diving header just now was his limit. Even if he could barely get back on the court, he would not be able to bring any help to the team. It would be better to focus on healing his injuries first. "Brothers, the rest of the time is up to you. I can't fight side by side with you, but I believe you will definitely win this game." Xiao Chenhui said goodbye to his teammates for the time being and sent his blessings. The little demons of Brescia did not communicate at all. 11 people stood side by side in a row, facing the direction of Xiao Chenhui. They beat their chests vigorously. A roar came from their throats. "Fight for the captain." The same is true for the substitute center Torregrossa, who rarely has a chance to play this season. The former flag Kiraxiello regarded Xiao Chenhui as an opponent. Torregrossa, however, regarded Xiao Chenhui as a goal, even in idle. Now the captain is injured and off the court. He must step up. Win this game for the captain. The Brescia demons returned to the field and transformed into fierce demon kings. They seemed to be invincible Spartan warriors. Everyone's eyes were burning with a strong fire of war. Fight. 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 In the remaining time, Brescia's war burned every inch of the stadium, including the stands. The fans in the audience stood up one after another. There was no distinction between them anymore. They cheered for Brescia in unison. They cheered for the injured Xiao Chenhui. Fearless warriors deserve respect from everyone. At the post-match press conference, tactical master Benitez accepted the defeat calmly. "It's not unfair for us to lose this game, because Brescia has an omnipotent dragon Gio Xiao. I look forward to meeting him again in Serie A, but by then, our players will not let him take away the victory again. Finally, I hope Xiao's injury is not serious, and may God bless him to recover as soon as possible." If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 96, entering the recovery period. Inside the small villa on the second floor, Monica brought a bowl of boiled water. She handed it to Xiao Chenhui considerately. She also tore open a medicine box with the word Longguo written on it. She took out 2 Yunnan-Biao pills from it. "It's time to take the medicine," Xiao Chenhui said helplessly. "Didn't the team doctor check it repeatedly yesterday? It's just an ordinary muscle strain. It will be fine after a few days of rest. Why take medicine?" Monica looked at Xiao Chenhui with a smile. "This is your childhood sweetheart. It was shipped all the way from Longguo. Are you really not going to take it?" Ma Fanshu. "Oh, right. She is now doing the World Football program with Duan Zuan. Of course, she also saw yesterday's Italian Cup match. It's not strange to know that Xiao Chenhui was injured through the video broadcast. It's just that Xiao Chenhui is a little confused. Didn't Monica always have a problem with Ma Fanshu?" Why was she willing to take out the Yun and Baiao sent by Ma Fanshu? HMPH. Put away your evil thoughts. Monica stretched out her slender jade fingers and tapped Xiao Chenhui's forehead. She continued, although I don't like that Dragon Country girl, how can I refuse something that is good for you? I heard that your Dragon Country's Chinese medicine is very effective, so you'd better take it obediently and don't give me a reason to punish you. Well, Monica finally got the chance. This is a threatened intimidation. What else can Xiao Chenhui say? Just take the medicine obediently. Seeing Xiao Chenhui finish the medicine, Monica showed a satisfied smile at the corner of her eyes. Then she sat next to Xiao Chenhui. I don't know where she took out another patch and tore it off bit by bit with her fingernails. Judging from her movements, she was obviously just starting to learn how to use the Dragon Country patch. There is no such good thing for treating injuries in Italy. With a light touch, a patch was attached to Xiao Chenhui's calf. Then the second piece, the third piece. Hey, that's enough. My calf is injured. You've pressed against my thigh. Sister, don't go any further. Are you going to wrap me up like a mummy? Monica, stop right there, you little devil. Your hand is touching me. Please stop rubbing me. I'm still a baby. Being touched from the calf to the thigh by a beauty like Monica. Who can stand it? Xiao Chenhui felt that after his repeated pleading, Monica's pair of jade hands finally stopped. There was a playful look in her beautiful big eyes. What's there to be shy about? It's not like I haven't seen it before. The last frankness was completely an accident, okay? Xiao Chenhui doesn't have the habit of running around naked like the gold medal reporter Lickery. Besides, how long has it been since that happened? Is it interesting? Okay, I won't tease you anymore. Take this time to have a good rest. Even an Iron Man can't stand your tossing and turning. If you don't want to be unfilial, you'd better listen to my advice. Monica put away her joking look and warned Xiao Chenhui. Then she turned and walked to the second floor. Xiao Chenhui's sad and helpless voice came from behind. Monica, I asked you to read some books from the Dragon Kingdom, and this is all you learned? Is the third unfilial piety used in this place? Can't you read something more elegant like 300 Tang poems? I ignored Xiao Chenhui's complaints. The charming back of the ark disappeared behind the door. When the door closed, Monica's delicate face suddenly flew red. Thinking back to what happened between Xiao Chenhui and me just now, my heart was hard to calm down for a long time. Bah. This young lady must have been poisoned by that boy. Why do you watch The Return of the Condor Heroes when you have nothing to do? I'm not Xiao Longguo. Xiao Longguo's chastity had long been broken. I'm still pure and innocent. But why did I read those books from Dragon Country? In the final analysis, wasn't it to have a common language with that boy? But that boy didn't appreciate it. How dare he say that the books I read were not elegant enough? What a waste of sincerity. I decided to ignore him for an hour. Just leave him alone. Or, half an hour is also okay. It's settled. 15 minutes. The two showed off their beauty in the small villa. The Serie B League will not be interrupted because of Xiao Chenhui's injury. The game is still going on. In the 2 weeks, when Xiao Chenhui was recovering from his injury, Brescia won 1 game and drew 1 game. They got 5 league points. They continued to bite closely behind Sassuolo. They firmly occupied the second place in the standings. Through the video, sent back by Monica at the scene, Xiao Chenhui was surprised to find that his teammates had made great progress. Without Xiao Chenhui participating in the competition, they can still play smooth cooperation and tight defense. They are almost perfect on both offense and defense. Torregrossa, the substitute center who temporarily replaced Xiao Chenhui in the starting lineup, also performed very well. He scored 2 goals in 2 games. Although he did not have Xiao Chenhui's terrifying efficiency of 2 goals per game, he is still a rare high-yield center in Serie B. After training for a while, it is not difficult to lock in a main substitute position. Moreover, Torregrossa has a clear height advantage. His jumping ability is not weak either. He can enrich Brescia's offensive routines. Before he broke out, only Xiao Chenhui and Skriniar competed for the header in Brescia. Torregrossa should be sent to the court at the right time. Brescia can also try the offensive method of flying on both wings and passing from the side. However, as a bystander, Xiao Chenhui still found some problems with the team. Limited by the team's weak economic foundation, the team's bench depth is not strong enough. When the main players are tired after consecutive games, there are not many people on the bench who can take over, except Torregrossa. At most, the midfielders Ando and Viviani. The only defender who can show his ability is Martella. There is no one who can replace Andrenesi in the goalkeeper position. Such a lineup can barely cope in Serie B and Serie A. They will be pressed to the ground in minutes. Xiao Chenhui will not be arrogant and think that Brescia will have the strength to compete for the Serie A championship after defeating strong teams such as Juventus. The league is a long process. Injuries, status, off-field factors, etc. are all problems that cannot be ignored and exist in reality. For example, Xiao Chenhui can only sit on the sofa at home now, staring at the computer alone to watch the game. Serie B is now coming to an end. Strengthening the team to cope with Serie A next season has become an urgent matter. Otherwise, let's not talk about whether the main task released by the system can be completed. It is estimated that by the end of next season, whether Brescia can still stay in Serie A is a question. Open a memory from the previous life. Xiao Chenhui searched over and over in his brain memory. Those who have not yet made a name for themselves, but a good value for money, all became his potential targets. After defining a large range, he then conducted a detailed screening, based on Brescia's current situation and playing style. Gradually, a list appeared on Xiao Chenhui's mobile phone screen. Click. Send. The rest is for Inzaghi to worry about. Chapter 97 Return of the King. In the blink of an eye, time passed quickly. Xiao Chenhui has been staying at home honestly for more than half a month. But he was not idle. While sorting out the future team lineup, at the same time, he asked Inzaghi and Pelé for advice on football skills through videos. Although he could not go to the training ground for actual training, his football skills have improved to a certain extent. Perhaps it was because Xiao Chenhui had focused on training on the training ground before and had never calmed down to study theoretical knowledge like now, especially the two abilities of anti-offside tactics and set-piece penalties. A clear context gradually appeared in Xiao Chenhui's mind. Just like the multiplication formula learned since childhood, it was deeply ingrained in his mind. So much so that, when he finished his recuperation period, the system suddenly popped up automatically. A crisp prompt sounded. Ding, congratulations to the host for realizing the S-level skill. Offside. Skill effect. The success rate of offside tactics is increased by 30. Ding, congratulations to the host for realizing the S-level skill. Falling leaf ball. Skill effect. It is easier to kick a falling arc ball when taking a free kick, and the chance of scoring is increased by 30. Xiao Chenhui was stunned for a long time and finally came to his senses. Is there a time when the stingy system still gives benefits? Heaven, earth, which bodhisattva passing by has shown mercy? Although the skill realized by himself is only S level, it is 2 levels lower than the SSS level skill pendulum pass. The increase is far from comparable to pendulum pass, but it is also a skill after all. With these 2 skills, plus the pendulum pass, that is always successful. Looking at the entire Serie B, just ask, who else? While Xiao Chenhui was recovering from his injury, the league had reached the 29th round. There were still 13 rounds to play. Those who had played against Brescia before were fine. Those Serie B teams that had not played against Brescia in the second half of the league were destined to become the fish under Xiao Chenhui's butcher knife. In a popular saying, wash your neck and wait for death. The most intuitive impression of this was a group of young demons in Brescia. Looking at the captain who was full of energy and vitality when he returned to the training ground, a group of young demons couldn't help but look at each other. What's going on? After a normal player has gone through the recovery period, his condition will decline to some extent. After all, he cannot participate in the game during the recovery period. And because of the troubles of the injury, he will also have negative emotions such as fatigue and depression. It is difficult to maintain a normal game state. This is how the term long time absence from the battlefield came from. But why is it completely different for the captain? After a period of recovery, the captain's condition has not declined at all. It seems to have become even better. Can recovery from injury improve football skills? If so, Everyone can just take turns to recover from the injury. Take care of him for a year or two. I don't understand. The captain really doesn't play by the rules. After being puzzled, the little demons gave up thinking. Anyway, the captain has recovered from his injury, which is a great thing for Brescia. Everyone is more confident in the next game. Xiao Chenhui, who has recovered from his injury, practiced with his teammates for a day and a half. He found that the tacit understanding between each other has not weakened. Everyone in Brescia is ready to deal with the next round of the league. After the normal training, Xiao Chenhui did not practice extra for the first time. There was no way. Monica Liata, the little demon, turned into a proud little tigress. She was staring at him with a covetous look. Xiao Chenhui really didn't dare to disobey her. Monica said. In the first 3 days after Xiao Chenhui recovered from his injury, no extra training was allowed for a minute. Just like that, Brescia ushered in the 30th round of the league. The opponent was a little known team, having been floating between Serie B and Serie C for many years, a weak team. Facing such an opponent, Inzaghi did not think much. He put Xiao Chenhui in the starting list without hesitation. The opponent's strength is not that strong. It will not cause too much trouble to Xiao Chenhui. It is just right for him to find his feeling. Just like a Whetstone, Torregrossa, the substitute center who has scored in the last 2 rounds, did not say a word. He automatically returned to the substitute list. He knew that, no matter how hot his form was, as long as the captain could participate in the game normally, he would be an unshakable substitute. There was nothing to complain about. He never had the idea of competing with the captain. Kiraxialo, the original flag, did compete. What was the result? He was kicked out. Torregrossa did not want to be the second Kiraxialo. He was a substitute for the captain and came on the bench when the captain was tired or slightly injured. It was good. After the game officially started, Benito, the local commentator of Brescia, did not have time to read out the starting lists of both sides. A certain animal that was pent up started to go crazy. Inzaghi's classic offside counter was reenacted. He ran 100 meters at full speed in 10.47 seconds. All the opponent's defenders became decorations. Then came the iconic pendulum pass that gradually passed from Ronaldo to Xiao Chenhui. A left hook, a right hook. Anyone who gets close to me is in danger. Xiao Chenhui shook the opponent's goalkeeper to the ground in a high-speed continuous shake. It was like the boxing champion Tyson knocked his opponent out of the ring with a combination of heavy punches. Then he pushed with his right foot. The football obediently crossed the goal line. The 23rd league goal of the season was scored. Benito simply stopped explaining. He led all the Brescia fans in the stadium to sing song of Xiao Chenhui. Offside counter plus pendulum pass. So exciting. Who is still in the mood to explain the starting lineup? Cheer and shout as much as you can. You are our Xiao Chenhui. I can never love you enough. The wine-chasing boy pierces the heart of his opponent. Light up the fire of Brescia. Fire, 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 fire. Burn it. Rigamonti Stadium was boiling again because of Xiao Chenhui. Above the stadium, the fan songs praising Xiao Chenhui floated. It lasted for a long time. Originally, Xiao Chenhui was injured in the match against Naples. The fans' hearts have always been hanging. Even the dullest people can see it. Without Xiao Chenhui, although Brescia is also a strong team in Serie B, it is still a little bit worse. Xiao Chenhui's role in Brescia is not only reflected in the tactical system, it covers all aspects. The fighting spirit of never giving up, the fighting character of daring to show the sword when encountering strong enemies, the flag style that inspires teammates. So the fans were very worried before. They were afraid that Xiao Chenhui would not be able to maintain the previous strong momentum after returning from injury. But now it seems all worries are unnecessary. The captain of Brescia is still the almighty king of all monsters. He looks down upon the 4-season travels across the 8 wastelands. Chapter 98, Final Battle of Serie B. Victories came one after another. Under the leadership of Xiao Chenhui, the Brescia Youth Guards won 12 consecutive victories and made great strides in the standings. They tied with Sassuolo, the team at the top of the standings. The two teams tied for first place in the standings with the same points, leaving other Serie B teams far behind. In the next league match, Brescia only needs to beat Sassuolo, who is at the same level, to take the lead and win the Serie B championship this season. They are heading into Serie A. Brescia is full of expectations for the last league match. They are looking forward to defeating Sassuolo at their home ground and stepping on their shoulders to enter Serie A. The reason why Brescia is so confident is because their flag bearer Xiao Chenhui is in a hot state. He has been attacking citizen castles in the past 12 rounds of the league, helping Brescia to defeat opponents one by one. Currently, Xiao Chenhui is at the top of the Serie B scorer list with 32 goals. Manxu, who ranked second, was 7 goals behind him. Scoring 7 goals in one game, even Anderson wouldn't dare to write a fairy tale like this. So this season's Serie B Golden Boot has 100% fallen into Xiao Chenhui's pocket. It's just that the league has not ended yet. The official Golden Boot award for the best scorer has not yet been awarded. Xiao Chenhui is far ahead in the scorer list. The gold medal reporter Licari of Gazzetta dello Sport was so worried that his hair was about to fall out. From the time Xiao Chenhui scored his 30th league goal, Licari knew that he would not be able to escape the fate of being beaten. But he chose to escape. He comforted himself that the league has not ended yet and there might be variables in who will win the Golden Boot. But the league went on one by one until the last round. Licari's last hope was shattered. While the last game has not started yet, Licari found an excuse for a business trip and an interview, bought a plane ticket and flew abroad. He planned to stay abroad for a year or two and come back after the limelight has passed. Otherwise, what kind of escape would he have? Honestly accepted the onlookers and ridicules of all the fans in Brescia. Licari really didn't have the courage. During the escape, he cursed himself more than once for being so stupid. A good gold medal reporter, why not just do a good interview? He had to make that bet with that living beast. He was betting his youth on tomorrow, and he was about to gain both fame and fortune. What about Licari? He literally lost all his underwear. He couldn't even hide his face in his crotch. What to do? After learning that Licari had hurriedly fled the Apennines, Xiao Chenhui didn't care. The monk can run away, but the temple cannot. If Licari can't be found, then settle accounts with the Milan Sports Daily. The Milan Sports Daily can't bear the pressure and will inevitably push Licari out as a shield. A media with a long history doesn't need to destroy its golden signboard for a reporter. What's more, compared to the jumping clown Licari, Xiao Chenhui still pays more attention to the competition with Sassuolo. In the last league match, Brescia must end the match perfectly as a winner. As time goes by, the day of the match finally arrives. The more than 20,000 seats of the Mapei Tricolor City Stadium are full. Surprisingly, this is obviously Sassuolo's home stadium, but the Brescia fans who poured into the stadium occupied half of the stadium. They frantically occupied the east and north stands and formed a confrontation with more than 10,000 Sassuolo fans. They frantically cheered for the young guards of their own team and unreasonably turned the Mapei Tricolor City Stadium into half of the home stadium. In fact, every time the Serie B league reaches this time, it is the most popular. The last round of the league will determine which team can be directly promoted to Serie A. Who doesn't pay attention? Not only the fans of the Serie B team are paying close attention. Some Serie A fans are also paying attention here. This is especially true for the relegation teams in Serie A, because the team they support next season might be pushed to Serie B by the newly promoted team. Observe the strength of potential opponents in advance. No problem. Various factors are superimposed together. The Serie B league, which has never been popular, has suddenly become popular. The attention has reached an unprecedented high, especially for the two teams of Brescia and Sassuolo. This is not a game at all. It is a war without gunpowder. Although the top two teams in Serie B can be directly promoted to Serie A without having to go through the cruel playoffs, there is still a big difference between the champion and runner-up of Serie B who doesn't want to have more glorious things on their honor book. In the future, when you are old and can't play anymore, you can also lie on the merit book and brag to others. I was a member of the championship team back then. So before the last round of the league started, the war had already begun. The fans of both sides have been preparing for a long time, and they can't wait to capture the other side's position in one go. So, Brescia fans tried every possible way to grab half of the tickets. They supported their hometown team with both spirit and money. They left no room for maneuver. Even if they had no more food at home, they would come to the Mappy Tricolor City Stadium to accompany their hometown team in a big fight. Feeling the hot atmosphere in the audience, Xiao Chenhui led the Brescia youth guards to play early. They came to the stands under a sea of blue and white. They bowed to the team's 12th player. Xiao Chenhui stood in the center. On both sides were the 17 players selected by Inzaghi. Seeing the actions of the young demons of their own team, Brescia's D-head fans became even crazier. They waved their arms and shouted at the top of their lungs. There were only more than 10,000 people, but they shouted out the momentum of 100,000 people. Amid the shouts of the fans, Xiao Chenhui's eyes were filled with tears. What is a D-head? The team won. Support with all your strength. The team lost. Support even harder. Xiao Chenhui knew that he couldn't stay in Brescia forever. The world outside was wonderful. He must venture into a wider world. Perhaps after he completes the main mission and wins the Serie A championship, he will leave Brescia, or even leave the Apennines, to a bigger stage. But before he leaves, he must leave some memorable gifts for these lovely fans in front of him. The Serie B championship is one of them. So, fight. For Inzaghi. For Brescia. For the lovely fans. Fight to the end. The emotional Xiao Chenhui slapped the team logo on the jersey with his right hand. Then he raised his right arm high. He shouted to the Brescia D-head fans, "The championship belongs to us. Brescia must win." The fans paused slightly. It seems that they did not expect their young captain to shout like this in the opponent's home court. But only 2 seconds later, tens of thousands of Brescia fans responded with their necks stretched. Brescia must win. Among them was Benetto. What kind of job is a commentator? Fuck it. I'm a pure Brescia fan. Whatever you want. Chapter 99. Just a fun. At the beginning of the game, there was no trial. Both sides directly invested heavily in the offensive end. Let's go. The wonderful offensive and defensive confrontation made the audience cheer one after another. The fans of both sides, who were basically the same in number, were about to overturn the Mappy Tricolor City Stadium. In the second minute of the game, Brescia took the lead. Dybala's powerful shot at the top of the penalty area almost broke through the goal guarded by Pomani. Unfortunately, it was a little short, and the football rubbed the goalpost and flew out of the bottom line. 2 minutes later, Sassuolo took advantage of the goalkeeper's long kick to launch a fast break. Simone Zaza, who was blocked by Xiao Chenhui in the last game, headed the ball. As a result, it hit the crossbar of Brescia. It was also a close call. It just scared the Brescia fans into a cold sweat. In the 9th minute, Brescia made a comeback. Donnarumma received a quick pass from captain Xiao Chenhui and shot hard in the penalty area. However, under the pressure of Sassuolo's defender, he didn't hit the right spot. The powerful shot turned into an anti-aircraft gun. The football was more than 1 meter above the crossbar and almost flew into the stands. Brescia's attack was fruitless, and Sassuolo launched a counter-attack again. Masusi, who replaced Berardi as the main winger, turned his back to the goal and shot. Seeing the football draw a dangerous arc and turn to the back of the goal, Andre Nassi made a strong effort to block Masusi's shot from the far corner. In the first 20 minutes, the two sides seemed to have discussed it. You come once, and I come once. It was like two burly men standing and fighting each other. No one dodged or evaded. While taking the opponent's big slap, he raised his palm and slapped the opponent. Just do it. Xiao Chenhui stopped running. His chest was slightly heaving. He could see that Sassuolo had been watching him closely in the first 20 minutes. There were always 2 defenders around him, so he didn't even have a decent shot. He just barely made a wonderful pass to Donnarumma. It seems that Sassuolo's tactical intention is to do everything possible to limit his performance. Inzaghi and Xiao Chenhui were prepared for this. Xiao Chenhui now ranks first in the Serie B scorer list. He has long been the public enemy of all Serie B defenders. No matter who encounters Brescia, they will definitely stop Xiao Chenhui at all costs. How could the fox master and apprentice, the wily Inzaghi and the cunning Xiao Chenhui, have no backup plan? Looking at the sidelines, Xiao Chenhui saw Inzaghi nodded slightly. The signal was received successfully. Xiao Chenhui did not hesitate to shake off the 2 defenders who were always by his side. He gave up the position in the middle and ran to the side to play. Come on. Hurt each other. If you have the guts, come and continue to mark me. Sassuolo's defensive midfielder Maradona and central defender Terranova looked at each other. They were confused. What is this guy going to do? You said he ran to the wing. Should we chase him or not? Chase him. The defense in the middle will inevitably be empty. Dybala has a long shot. We can't defend him. Don't chase him. Seeing Xiao Chenhui wreaking havoc on the wing, the head coach asked us to keep an eye on that guy in advance. If we don't chase him, we will be derelict in our duty. It's too entangled. How can that guy be so naughty? He actually gave us a difficult problem. These two haven't figured out 4, 5, or 6 in the middle. Xiao Chenhui and Berardi, who ran to the wing, have completed the connection. The two played a beautiful wall-to-wall pass cooperation in succession. They passed Sassuolo's other midfielder and left back. They both rushed to the left rib of the penalty area with great momentum. Just for fun. Maradona and Terranova thought, is this okay? If they don't take care of those two monsters, they will turn the sky upside down. The two of them hurriedly stepped forward and followed them. They made up for the position where the two teammates were left behind. Seeing the two brothers catching up, Xiao Chenhui's mouth curved up a little. I was afraid you wouldn't come. Since you are here, it will be easy. After touching the ball with his feet, Xiao Chenhui passed the ball to Berardi, who was closer to the center. He ran to the baseline of the wing. Come on. Keep chasing me. Hurt each other. Maradona and Terranova were confused again. What should they do? The area Xiao Chenhui ran to was obviously not threatening. On the contrary, Berardi, who stayed at the junction of the wing and the center, was more threatening. If they kept their eyes on Xiao Chenhui, Berardi would have plenty of opportunities to threaten the goal by either breaking through or passing. They were distracted for a moment. Berardi suddenly moved. He made fake moves at a very fast frequency. Fake pass. He passed Maradona beautifully, and before Terranova could make up for it, he kicked the ball to the middle. Maradona and Terranova stayed near the side. This greatly reduced the pressure on Dybala, who received the ball in the middle. He easily took several big steps with the ball, and then made a masterful turn to pass the Sassuolo defender Rossini, who rushed over. He rushed into the penalty area unstoppably. Here. Donnarumma on the left ran over, raised his right arm and shouted. He made a gesture to receive the ball and shoot. Sassuolo's right back Ziegler did not dare to neglect it, and hurriedly met Donnarumma and stuck to him. He also attracted Maradona and Terranova. He forced them to give up chasing Berardi. One person ran to Dybala. He planned to cut off Dybala's long-range shot route. The other followed behind Ziegler. He focused on defending Donnarumma. The fans in the audience suddenly had such a feeling. Several defenders of Sassuolo, including defensive midfielder Monero, were like monkeys. They were played around by the little demons of Brescia. They couldn't find their way. They didn't know who to defend. They were just headless flies, flying around, facing Monero's steel. Dybala raised his thigh and prepared to pass the ball. At the same time, he looked in the direction of Donnarumma. It seemed that Dybala was going to pass the ball to Donnarumma, who was in an excellent position. Ziegler and Terranova were almost crazy. Is this okay? Although Donnarumma's shooting skills are not as superb as Xiao Chenhui, he is also a killer, ranked at the top of the scorer list. He has scored 22 goals in Serie B so far, ranked third in the scorer list, only behind Xiao Chenhui, who scored 32 goals, and Manxu, who scored 25 goals. Even Berardi, who frequently exerted his strength in the second half after switching to Brescia, couldn't catch up with him. The two Sassuolo defenders rushed towards Donnarumma frantically. They wanted to block his shooting route from all directions. But who said Dybala would definitely pass the ball to Donnarumma? Looking in the direction of Donnarumma does not mean that the ball will definitely be passed in that direction. Don't you know that Ronaldinho has a trick of making a feint to the east and attacking in the west? Dybala tapped his feet lightly. The football rolled out lightly. It was exactly the opposite direction of his gaze. Who was he going to pass the ball to? A blue and white figure suddenly circled from the baseline that had lost its threat and rushed into the penalty area. Xiao Chenhui. He did run to the baseline before and was in an offside position. But when Berardi, Dybala and Donnarumma were passing and running together, Xiao Chenhui quietly ran back a little bit. No more, no less, just on the same line as Ziegler, who was guarding Donnarumma on the other side. Played a new trick to counter offside. In fact, Donnarumma had no intention of receiving the ball and shooting. He pressed forward in a big way, just to pressure Sassuolo's defense. It was just to create an opportunity for Xiao Chenhui to counter offside. Dybala had no intention of shooting directly or passing the ball to Donnarumma. All this was a tactic discussed before the game. Sassuolo goalkeeper Pomini was stunned. Can you still play like this? Damn it. Brescia has a deep routine. Let me go back to the countryside. I really can't afford to play like this. Chapter 100. Goal score. With no one guarding him, could Xiao Chenhui kick the ball away? No way. He didn't even use a single skill. He kicked the ball hard. Bang. With the power of his legs, the ball whizzed into Sassuolo's goal. Goalkeeper Pomini looked dazed. He couldn't even react. Goal, 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 goal. Commentator Benito roared madly. He was like an excellent conductor. He led tens of thousands of Brescia fans at the scene to perform a chorus of 10,000 people. As for the commentator's job, who cares about that? The east and north stands were ecstatic. The west and south stands were dead silent. The gap between heaven and hell was reflected on the court, clearly defined. Watching Brescia's players pile up like crazy, burying that living animal alive, Simone Zaza felt as if a knife had been stabbed into his heart. In the last match, he was tricked by that live animal. He was sent off the field by the referee with a ruby card. Now he has to witness the live animal win the Serie B Golden Boot and Serie B Championship in his own home field. He is unwilling to accept this. Brothers, cheer up. The game has just begun. Simone Zaza encouraged his teammates loudly. He dispelled all the frustration in his teammates' hearts. The players of Sassuolo raised their heads again. They picked up the football from the goal and put it on the kickoff point in the center circle. Then they stood quietly in their respective positions. With endless anger, they waited for the Brescia Demons to end their celebration. Don't make a mistake. This is the Mapei Tricolor City Stadium, not Rigamonti. We have the final say on our territory. It's not your turn to have fun. The game continues. Sassuolo's offense and defense are obviously stronger than before. Dominated by anger, they played beyond their level. 5 minutes later, Simone Zaza received Mislera's overhead kick. He jumped high from Brescia's penalty area. He overpowered Koulibaly and headbutted him fiercely. And Renzi lost his temper. He watched the ball fall into the net. The fans of Sassuolo were like chicken blood. They shouted harshly at the Brescia fans in the east and north stands. Brescia fans certainly would not swallow their anger. They responded without any hesitation. Amid the roars of fans on both sides, Koulibaly, who had just been pressed down and unable to jump up, couldn't help but shake his arms in frustration. Then he ran to Renzi and pulled him up from the lawn. He apologized. Although Renzi was a little depressed, he still reached out and high-fived Koulibaly. He knew that Simone Zaza was a native Italian. He had been struggling in the Apennines for 7 or 8 years. He is definitely more experienced than the young Koulibaly. He is very familiar with the Italian style of play. Compared to Simone Zaza, Koulibaly is actually a semi-finished product. He has not yet fully entered his peak period. He can be said to be a rookie who just landed in the Apennines this season. It is understandable that he is occasionally bullied by the old bird relying on his experience. What's more, the captain has said it long ago. We are all brothers. We should support each other and achieve each other. How can we have an internal conflict? And Renzi's kindness touched Koulibaly very much. He said in half-baked Italian, I will never let the ball jump over my head again. And Renzi grinned, I support you. If it was before the winter break, when the score was behind, and Renzi would never be so relaxed. Because the cruel reality taught him again and again. Falling behind in the away game is equivalent to losing the game. The former flag Kiraxialo and others simply did not have the ability to make up the score. But now it is different. Kiraxialo is no longer there. Brescia's new flag is the almighty demon king Xiao Chenhui. And under his charisma, Brescia is united. It's more like a big family. The people are particularly united. The previous phenomenon of scattered people's hearts no longer exists. The game started again. Because of the equalizer, Sassuolo's players regained their confidence. They played much more smoothly than before. The defense against Xiao Chenhui was much tighter. They understood it. As long as this living beast is restricted, Brescia will no longer be scary. 10 minutes later, Xiao Chenhui didn't get a chance to touch the ball. Whether he ran to Berardi or came to Donnarumma, there was always someone around him who followed closely and defended him. It was like a dogskin plaster. Inzaghi on the sidelines saw Xiao Chenhui's embarrassment. He opened his hands and put them on his mouth. He shouted loudly, "Plan B." Hearing Inzaghi's shout, Sassuolo's head coach couldn't help but shudder in his heart. Plan B. What tricks are they going to play? Can we still have fun together? The nervous Sassuolo coach soon found out what Plan B was. Xiao Chenhui retreated a long distance from the center forward to the shadow striker position. Together with Dybala, they attacked Sassuolo's defense line from the left and right. Berardi and Donnarumma, who were originally on the two wingers, retreated to the midfield. They took on the task of connecting with Tonali. The right to fire was completely handed over to the two ghostly shadow strikers. What an alternative 4-4-2. It's okay for the wingers to serve as wing forwards. There is no center forward. Xiao Chenhui and Dybala didn't rush into Sassuolo at all. They took a long shot after receiving the pass. They didn't waste time on Sassuolo's defenders at all. After 3 consecutive long shots, Sassuolo's coach lost his patience. Just now, Dybala's powerful long shot passed the entire back line. It hit the crossbar hard. If it weren't for a bit of luck, Sassuolo would have fallen behind 2-1. If it continues like this, the City gate will be lost sooner or later. They don't fight with their own defenders. The entire back line is stuck on the penalty area line, neither advancing nor retreating, as if it is useless. How can this be played? Just as he lowered his head to think about how to make changes, the score of 2-1 became a reality. The big demon king Xiao Chenhui received Dybala's cross outside the penalty area, without making any adjustments. Before the Sassuolo defender who was closely guarding him could make a move, he directly swung his right foot and slammed the football hard. A beautiful moving leaf ball appeared. The football dived into the sky. It seemed to be flying out of the court, but it fell rapidly when it was close to the goal. It caught Pomini off guard. He quickly stepped back a few steps in embarrassment and jumped up with all his strength to keep the football out. However, all his efforts were in vain. The ball brushed against his fingertips and fell into the goal. Xiao Chenhui scored another goal. He got his 34th league goal of the season. He added another insurance to win the Serie B Golden Boot. Dybala, who passed the ball to him, ran over happily. He knelt on one knee. He forcibly lifted Xiao Chenhui's right foot and placed it on his knee. The classic shoe wiping celebration action reappeared in the arena. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.